All right, guys, here we are for another round of the Transatlantic Open Kill Team Tournament, brought to you by Command Point and Data Team here on Tabletop Simulator. I'm Oodsicle, and I'm joined tonight by Shane from Command Point. How you doing, Shane?
I'm doing wonderful. How about you, man?
Hanging in there. It's game 2 of the World Series tonight. Dodgers are in it, and I'm not watching it because I'm doing this. So I'll just have to check the score on my phone throughout the stream tonight. But yeah, they won game 1, so I'm feeling pretty good about that,
Oh, there you
and
go.
excited to watch this matchup tonight. I think it'll be a good one. We got Druhkari again, Ryan, after his win in the previous round against Beernid that we streamed last week, and then we got Micromancer, who has done pretty well in the last few tournaments, not playing his chaos in this. He's going with Astra Militarum, although he's chaosed him up pretty good. So.
Yeah, that's kind of his MO, right? He's all about that chaos um, lifestyle, I guess you could call it.
Yeah, I say he did pretty well. He went up against you in the finals of the last tournament. So
He
this
did,
is,
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, so you've got some insight into his play style and things like that. And any kind of, I guess, thoughts coming into this matchup that we're going into tonight?
So I can tell you with some certainty a general idea of what I think Micro is going to take tonight, and we can play that game and see how accurate I end up being. And I can say somewhat similarly for Ryan as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
You pretty much you built Ryan's roster, right? I mean, essentially.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Although,
Um,
to be fair, you built almost every Drukhari roster in this tournament at this point.
yeah, though for as far as Micro goes, I can tell you that against Druhkari, he wants to use those hotshot volley guns that he's got for his Tempest or his Scion gunners.
Hmm.
He's a big fan of that against Druhkari, specifically for Mandrakes, just because of the volume of shots that you're getting out. The modifiers don't really matter so much when you're putting out that many. Um, so I would anticipate seeing two, maybe even three hotshot volley guns from him.
Okay.
We're definitely going to see Rein and Raus. We're going to see Gotfret. We might see Pius.
Yeah.
Um, Beyond that, probably a Tempester, maybe, um, probably the Sergeant with the Chainsword and Flamers, maybe a couple of Flamers. I don't know. I think it's going to be something along those lines.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Those flamers are definitely they can be nasty against the Mandrake spam because negates the -1 that they get, right? And you're looking at a T3 model, so you're getting the wounding on threes, which is pretty good with those flamers. 8-inch, range isn't the best, especially with those deep strikes. You can come in and avoid them, depending on your initiative. You can avoid them, but yeah, I think this should be a good matchup. I personally had Astra Militarum at the top of my list coming into this tournament, and I had Druhkari second. I know you and I think most other people had Druhkari top and Astra Militarum second. The interesting thing that I found is we are in a situation where there are already 3 quarterfinals lined up. Each one of those has a Druhkari in it. This potentially here, if Ryan can win this, would be the 4th Druhkari to make it to quarterfinals. Um, just last week we had Alec on stream. He is a longtime Druhkari player, and he said he took one look at this packet and he said, "Druhkari, no thanks." And I mean, that's how he felt about it. He thought it's too open. He didn't really like the setup and the deployments and all this kind of stuff. But you and a many number of other people took a look at this and said, "This is Druhkari territory." Obviously, you're one of those 3 other Druhkari that have made it through. Any kind of thoughts on that about Drukhari and this packet in particular?
Well, I'm supposed to be playing Alec in the quarterfinals, so I'm hoping I can change his mind on that when we play.
Yeah.
But I mean, really though, it's what I love so much about Drukhari on this packet is just the sheer flexibility they have, not just from a roster building perspective, but just from the individual models themselves. I mean, you could take one look at a Mandrake, and that's a model that can do anything. I mean, they can shoot well, they can fight well, they are high mobility, they're survivable with their minuses and their invulns and their feel no pains. It's just like a Swiss Army knife of a model, and then you put on the added benefits of the rest of the roster is going to be made up a few models here and there that you want to get the subfaction bonuses. But if you really just stack with the mandrakes in most matchups, like 5 to 6 mandrakes, maybe like a minimum of 4, in my opinion, you have really good matchups almost across the board, assuming you're taking the right stuff to supplement those models.
Yeah, for sure. Which Druhkari have a lot of stuff to supplement those matchups, whether it's the core units or these newer elite units, and they can really kind of make it work with those mandrakes, especially because they're not affected by the subfactions, which is a really interesting thing that not many other teams have. I don't think any other teams really have. There are a few where there are models that don't benefit from them, but there's not really many where you can mix and match this much and have it not be an issue. So yeah, it should be an interesting matchup. I can tell you right now, I assume you will not be seeing the sort of roster that or the sort of team that Biren had put on the table against Ryan in your matchup with Alec, but
Yeah.
it should be interesting nonetheless to see that go through. Let's take a look at our bracket right now. So as we discussed, so Skinner has beaten Nordavin. The Thousand Suns took out the Grey Knights, and that will be whoever wins this goes up against Skinner and his Thousand Suns in the quarterfinals. Going down the list here, we have our other Astra Militarum player, Roshist Fern, and he took out the only demon player in the top 8. They had a tiebreaker actually situation, so that has brought him up against the Druhkari of Manco, who took out the only Tyranids with a 13-4 matchup. I didn't see that matchup at all, but looks like that was a almost a landslide kind of going for the Druhkari there, which, Tyranids interesting in this format, 100 points. You can go the 20 models. Do you know, is that what Opti was running?
Opti, he did have a lot of bodies. I believe he was running Behemoth. And there was just kind of an emphasis on I believe there was like one Ravener, a Tyranid warrior, maybe 2 Tyranid warriors, and then just kind of a flood of Gaunts. And they're no slouch on this packet either, Tyranids. So yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Which just again says something about Druhkari that they were able to take him out 13-4 there. Both those players really solid. We had Matt versus Ray J with his Gene Colts versus the Admech. Admech took that one. So Admech are one of the other non-Druhkari teams in the quarterfinals that we're gonna have, and they'll be going up against Danger Fro, who won the Druhkari mirror match, which I know you were happy about because the less Druhkari you have to go up against, as you said, in a mirror match, the better, right?
Yeah, not a fan of that. I would rather not be in that situation.
Yeah, so and then obviously the lower part of the bracket, you took out the only Eldar player in the bracket, and we have the Tau of Alec who took out the Grey Knights. Yeah, what are you thinking about what we have left? Do you have any kind of thoughts? Do you think it's going to be, it could potentially be if Ryan wins here, right, an all Druhkari affair moving into the semis if all the Druhkari win their matchups?
Yeah, I mean, we saw back at LVO 2020, there was we're really close to seeing 4 of the top 8 being Astroyani, and people were freaking out about Astroyani at the time. And I think we're seeing something similar here with Druhkari, where there's just they're just so good in the format, and I mean, the matchups as well that are remaining in the top 8, it's not going to get easier for Druhkari. I don't think that Druhkari necessarily have terrible matchups in this format at all, or even bad matchups. But I mean, looking at Thousand Suns and looking at Tau, those aren't necessarily easy. And I think you could say the same for Astra Militarum. Just kind of flexible uh, factions that can at least hurt these kind of T3 armies.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, AdMech, no slouch, right? They were a top two at LVO earlier this year, the in-person event that took place. And I mean, mind you, that player, Alex Admech, plays within my local meta, and I've known that Admech have been pretty strong for a long time. But you don't see a lot of them. Uh, in these big tournaments. You just don't like I feel like the strength of them isn't properly shown in the number of them that you see in top eights and things like that. I think the strength of them, like you said, the flexibility, they've got combat oriented units, they've got good shooting, they've got these extra rules with the canticles of the Omnissiah, they've got some interesting tactics. They check off a lot of those boxes similar to Azuryani or similar to Druhkari, things like that can really get the job done in different ways and adapt to who they're playing.
Yeah, I do want to say one thing before we see what the lists they're going to bring out are. I do have it on some authority that there is the potential that Ryan might bring a grotesque tonight.
Okay. All right.
I just
So,
want
I
to
mean,
throw that out there. I don't know if he's going to actually do it, but
yeah.
he may or may not be considering it.
And so by on
That's
good authority, you mean Ryan has told you that. I mean, essentially, right? Because he's the other half, or I mean, the other third, I guess, of a command point, right? But
I cannot confirm nor deny my sources, but
yeah, well, you can see the model right there. It's definitely on the roster. Now, in that configuration of the roster, does he also take a rack, or is it just a grotesque and then all mandrakes and the Nightfiend leader? Like, do we even
so
see
what
the?
yeah. What he can do is he can run a grotesque and 5 mandrakes, including the leader, or he can run a grotesque 4 mandrakes and the combat Acothyst with the Venom blade.
Gotcha,
So it's
gotcha.
6 models, and I
Okay.
mean I will say I don't know if I would run the grotesque here, but the grotesque, the only thing that Micro has that can hurt it really is Meltas, and I can tell you that Micro's not bringing Meltas here. He's not
Yeah.
going to expect that if Ryan does go ahead and decide to bring the 6-man list with the grotesque.
Oh, most
That would
definitely. Most
that would be an
definitely.
excellent counter to the hotshot volley guns that I'm almost certain Micro is going to bring.
Yeah. Now, could you imagine that grotesque versus the grotesque crisis suit throwdown last week would have been pretty interesting, right? But
Oh yeah, it would have never died.
yeah, and but absolutely nobody expected the crisis or whatever that lineup was that Bearden threw at us last week.
No.
So, yeah, so this should be interesting. We've gotten an idea of what you think both sides are looking at. We've taken a look at the bracket, so we're gonna jump into game here, and we can take a look. They have already chosen their secondary, so that might give us even more insight into kind of what they are planning for their roster muster. All right. Here we are jumping into the game. So taking a quick look over at Micro's side of the board, it looks like he is prepared for domination, engage on all fronts, and bounty hunters.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty kind of go-to for his team. Like even depending on which guns he takes or other things like that, he's looking to control the board with his number of models, and he's looking to, I guess, pick up those bounties whether they're in his combat-oriented units or pick them up off the shooting. And then going over here to look at Ryan's, we've got cut apart, bounty hunters, and engage on all fronts. So having engage on all fronts kind of tells me he's probably not leaning towards that grotesque, but I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, I did anticipate that Micro was going to bring domination. He's going to park Gotfret in the middle of the board, and he's going to dare him to come at him.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm Ryan, I'm saying you are totally free to have those domination points. I'm not going anywhere near Gotfret. Yeah, I mean, he has to pick a positional, obviously, even if he does take the grotesque. So I guess, assuming he knows he wants to avoid Gotfret in the middle, even with the grotesque, I suppose domination, or I'm sorry, rather engage in all fronts would probably be a better alternative to scout the field.
Yeah. So the other options he had were scout the field or domination, and then the other one, death from afar. This is the same map that we were looking at for round one. This is technically round two, but it's kind of a first round essentially because the first round only had the two play-in matches. So, yeah, this is Micro's first match, whereas it is Ryan's second due to the play-in. So, yeah, should
Yeah.
be interesting. All right, looks like I think they have completed their muster. Let me check in and we'll let them know.
Yeah, Ryan had to run the wild card gauntlet, which, as we all know, is
Yeah.
Doesn't make things any easier.
No, not at all. And especially, having to go up against Biranid in the first round. Like a Biranid, Ryan matchup in the play-in round is kind of crazy, right? And I mean, the Tau ended up there due to some, some craziness in their group and some interesting lists that Biranid was playing. And I think the main reason that Ryan ended up there was due to his mirror matchup with Druhkari in his group, right?
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ryan's one loss so far this tournament was to Druhkari.
Yeah.
It was to Manko, who's also in the quarterfinals at this point.
Yeah. And I believe on his side of the bracket, if we jump back really quick to the bracket, yeah, Manco is. So they could be looking at a rematch there later on in the tournament if we get there. So it looks like they're going through with the muster. So let's take a look.
Ooh, no grotesque. He
No
has opted
grotesque.
against it. He does have
Look
that
at all
Acothyst.
those mandrakes, though. One, two, three, four, five mandrakes and a Nightfiend leader, along with an Acothyst and a Klaviex. Okay, so this is similar to what he ran last week, except he's not taking the extra incubi. He took an extra mandrake, essentially. And then looking over at Micro's
Oh,
list,
yep. 3 hotshot volley guns. I called that one.
there you go. You did call it, and he's got a flamer gunner there. He's got Rein and Raus. He's definitely got Gotfret, and looks like a normal
No
guardsman.
pious.
Yeah, no Pious. A lot of people have been moving away from Pious. I still think she's extremely strong for the amount of points that she has, but when you consider all the other things that they have points for, like Godfred and Ryan and Rouse and the cheaper gunners and things like that, I guess it kind of makes sense that she might fall out of favor at 100 points compared to 125.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's also interesting to note that I I played pretty much this exact list that Ryan's running against um, against Micro in a prep game well before the tournament, and that was his first experience playing against this type of list. And Pius did come into play, and Pius ended up getting one shot by the Venom Blade Acothyst, who I think is like the perfect counter to that model.
Yeah.
Just getting just wounds. It's just volume of wounds, and that's what you need to take out a model like that.
So, have you had the chance to do any kind of muster like this in your tournament so far, or have all of yours included the Cabalite Gunners?
Against demons, I did run something similar to this. I might have had a liquid. Yeah, I had a liquefier.
Okay.
In addition to the Venom Blade, and then against Grey Knights, I did take the Cabalites, and then against Tom and his Imperial Guard, I believe I took this exact list. Actually,
Okay. All right. So,
this is one of my favorite lists that you can make on here. I'm a huge fan of the Venom Blade Acothyst and the 6 Mandrake loadout. It's just it's just so good in my eyes.
yeah,
It's like the thing.
for
If
sure,
you're not
man.
taking the Cabalites.
Mandrakes are great, and the Rax or the Acothyst in particular is a super strong model. So is the Klaviex. Like, there's not a weak model on this list, right? Like, these are all strong, uh, resilient, and damage dishing out models. Going on this list. So it looks like we're getting into deployment, and of course, we're expecting 3 of these Mandrakes to go into reserve and use that tactic for deep strike. Yeah.
Yep. And Micro's putting Rouse in reserve as well. This is something that he plans to do every game, as far as I'm aware. And
Yeah,
there's
he did it
Gotfret.
against me in one of our practice games. Brings him in real close and then tosses that scary grenade at you.
Yep. So I think it's worth noting that despite I mean, it seems like Micro has a lot more here, but he's only got 2 more models than Ryan does.
Hmm. Yeah, we're looking at what? One, two, three, four, eight, 10 models for him, and then yeah, 8 for Ryan. So yeah, just the 2 model difference, which bodies not as important as they are in hold, 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 but this is still hold one, hold more, and kill one. Um, I mean, I'd say the only model that you wouldn't be scared of on this entire board, I guess maybe the guardsman leader and then the regular guardsman, right? Everything else they've got is pretty killy against each other because they're all running toughness 3. You've got these mandrakes, which are scary. You've got the Klaviex, obviously, is just going to absolutely carve through anything other than Gotfret on the opposite side. Um, Yeah, I mean, the number of models matters, but I'd say the toughness of the models that you're putting on the board matters more. And obviously, all the Druhkari models you're talking about, besides the Klaviex, everybody's got a invulnerable save and they've got a feel no pain. The Klaviex obviously has the feel no pain, but yeah, pretty scary. And I don't think anything besides Gotfret that Micro is running uh, is going to get the Klaviex out of its save too, because right, he's going to get a 6-up against that power sword, and there's no plasma or anything like that. So not too scary for the Klaviex.
Yeah, the Klaviex with that 3-up save, 2 wounds. It's a durable model.
Definitely.
And what's nice about the Klaviex too is the type of thing that you're going to be bringing against Druhkari is typically not going to be kind of like adjacent to what you would want to bring to kill something like a Klaviex, right? Multi-wound, really good armor save, versus the rest of the list, which is basically 5-up invul and that's it. 1 wound.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Necron problem with once you introduce like a Lich Guard, it's the kinds of things that you would try to kill Necrons with probably aren't going to be that good at killing a Lich Guard.
Yeah. Once you go up that extra wound, and you're dealing with not only that, right, but it's a terrifying model to get into combat with. When it's wounding on 6s, it does 3 damage. Otherwise, I think he's got him as the Zealot spec, right, which doesn't matter as much in this situation, as he would already be wounding on 3s. But yeah, it can be really terrifying. He gets that extra attack, though. I mean, he's a base 4 attack model, right, which is just absolutely insane. Which is whenever I look at Druhkari when I'm list building, I'm like, well, you almost don't even need to put a specialism on him in a lot of matchups, because he's already got 4 attacks and he's already at strength 4. But yeah.
Yeah.
All right, getting further deployment here. We've got a interesting front line, I guess, situation here for Micro. He's got Gotfret set up to go right into the center, like you talked about, secure domination for himself. He's got that sergeant ready to go, heavy gunner lined up. Looks like he's going to position these other gunners on the edges here to try to screen out the deep strike from those mandrakes. He's got the models to do it, which is the one thing that's nice about, like you said, it's only 2 more models, but it is extremely important when you consider that Engage on All Fronts is being run by the Druhkari, and he wants to drop in those mandrakes and get them onto Micro's side of the board, right? So he can score that early and score it often.
Yeah. No, I mean for sure. One thing that I also think is interesting is with the threat of Raus deep striking in with that grenade. I almost would have expected to see like an extra Mandrake in the back line that can just ready up in the event that guy comes down. So that way, that guy might come down, but he's going to be instantly facing shots from some Mandrake. Because if a Mandrake takes a couple shots at Rouse, that could spell doom for him.
Absolutely. Well, we've got the leader Nightfiend back here. I guess maybe you're saying you would have swapped this veteran with this Zealot Klaviex kind of
Yeah,
situation.
I probably would have put the veteran where the Klaviex is. Just have them swap.
Yeah. That way your Klaviex, because it is interesting, right? The Klaviex is starting rather far back, and I mean, I guess he can avoid some shooting, and if Rein comes in, he can charge him and get in on him, but otherwise he's not doing much back here, right? He doesn't have any guns. He can't ready up and do anything. So yeah, that would have been an interesting move there to swap those two. But he might be planning to use the veteran move as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if Ryan ends up going first, he can play around that a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's not always so bad going first. I mean, there are things you can do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay. Acothyst right in the center, huh?
Just going for the full screen out. So what Micro's done with his deployment here is he's set up a volley gun in each of the 3 shooting lanes, down the bottom, down the middle, and then up the top. So what I was speculating is that if Ryan can get rid of one of those volley guns, that kind of opens up a whole area of the board for him to kind of try and exploit.
Yeah.
It's very possible too that yes, domination with Gotfret seems really obvious for Micro, but thinking about it, you're kind of tethering that unit to the middle of the board, and once you pull Gotfret away, it becomes so much easier for Ryan to potentially be able to deny domination from Micro. The models that are going to be sitting there instead getting domination for him are not going to be Gotfret levels of durability.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something interesting too, right? We just talked about how he decided not to run oh gosh, now I'm gonna blank on her name. Uh what's the chainsword model? Why am I blanking? Help me out here, Shane.
Pious?
Pious, yes, Vorn, Pious Vorn. Gosh, okay. He decided not to run Pious, right? Which in this situation, when you consider he's got Engage on all fronts and Domination, he's going double positional. I assume Gotfret will take one of those corners while staying in Domination range, and his Chainsword Bolt Pistol will take the other. So obviously the Chainsword Bolt Pistol not nearly as resilient. At least for that turn one, I would assume he might move that Flamer up the board, but he's got to also have models on Ryan's side of the board to be able to score this engage on all fronts. Mind you, he doesn't need to score at turn one, but like you were saying, other than Gotfret, nobody else really has any kind of level of resilience on this team or toughness on this team. I guess the
Yeah.
Rein and Rouse are also 2 wound models, so those are pretty good.
Yeah. Toughness 2, 6 up. It's pretty
Yeah.
tough, right? 2 wounds is nice, but Ryan's always going to be wounding it on 2s, and Ryan is any AP, which is everything that Ryan has except for the Venom Blade, is going to take him without a save.
Yep, and
So,
here we go. Micro won the initiative, and he is readying up both of those gunners on the edges.
yep, kind of saw that one coming. He really wants to shut down these lanes and make it a little bit harder for Ryan to move up the board and set up those turn 2 charges.
Oh yeah, and he is not planning to allow any of that deep strike shenanigans to go on in his back line. So looks like he is
No, definitely not.
advancing Gotfred here. He got a 6, so he's got a lot of movement to work with here.
Yeah, I mean, I think yeah, this is exactly what I thought Micro was going to do. Okay, so yeah, he's going to move Gotfred right up into the middle. He's covering all the shooting lanes. He might just ready that hotshot volley gun. He might move it up right next to that desk there so that he can get cover. The sergeant will probably advance somewhere where a charge is difficult, but he can maybe have some flexibility next turn. Alternatively, he could just bait out Ryan to charge him and go ahead and try and fix bayonets or something. Although he seems to be keeping the leader back, so that's unlikely.
Yeah. So we have another advance here. He's moved that Guardsman Flamer up the board. Now just imagine, like we were talking about, if that Klaviex is right there, I mean, that's a great turn one charge, right? Onto that Flamer, especially because the Flamer doesn't really have a great chance of killing that Klaviex. At least not as good of a chance as it has on a lot of other units. But
Yeah.
let's see, doing some positioning here. But looks like that Flamer is going to have range on that entire objective, I'm assuming. Can't really make a measurement right yet. But yeah, it looks like there you go. There's that measurement. So short charge even for the Mandrake here, but yeah, we'll see. I'd be
Gonna
more.
have to eat a flamer.
Yeah, yeah. Which I mean, we saw last week, right? I mean, I guess those were air bursting fragmentation guns, so you had to still hit with those, right? A flamer's a little bit scarier because it's got that auto hit potential, but for the Klaviex with his 2 wounds and the 3-up save, not as scary potentially for him with no AP. But
Yeah, if I'm Ryan, I hide that Mandrake and then move that Klaviex up onto the objective. As of right now, Micro's only holding a single objective, and that's the middle.
hmm
So Ryan can easily hide his Mandrakes, hold the objectives closer to his board, and at the very least come out of this turn with hold more.
yeah. All right, he
I
did move that
mean,
gunner up like you thought he would into
wow.
the back of that table.
Is this what Tony Romo feels like when he predicts every
Predicts
play?
all the plays, yeah, pretty much. The Tony Romo of Kill Team broadcast right here, Shane from Command
Yeah.
Point. Not getting paid nearly as much though, are you?
No, not quite as much as Tony, I'm sure. All right, he's got Rein readied up there. Rein is also a sneaky good model against Mandrakes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2-up ballistic skill, really doesn't care about modifiers that much, rerolling just about everything.
hmm And yeah, one of the few sniper models I'd say that sees a normal amount of use, which is interesting too, right? For a long time, I never saw that Rein and Rouse. It took people a little while to see their worth compared to the Gotfret and the Vorn and models like that. But people are starting to find ways to use them. They're very tiny. They can hide. The ballistic skill of 2, like you said, they have a free built-in fire and fade as well. So after they shoot, they
Yep.
can move, which is game breaking potentially, right, in certain scenarios. So like you said, he has no objectives right now, but I imagine after Ryan takes a shot from up there, he's going to drop down onto that objective.
Yeah, I mean that's true.
So
Although that does depend on Ryan getting shots. He could potentially try and avoid that. It would be probably be a bit difficult with the position that Ryan's in right now, though.
yeah, definitely. Especially if he wanted to be on those objectives. There's a few angles he could probably get to negate some shots, but I assume he'll have at least one. But we'll find out, right?
Yeah.
That's why they play the game.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. I mean, I guess for Ryan, you're just and also, I mean, Micro's going to have the flexibility to just drop Rouse onto a onto that objective there
Hmm.
on the top side. So it is possible that he can pick up Holdmore. And I think that's all of Micro's movement. So I think we're going into Ryan's movement now.
Okay. Doing some measuring in that back line to see if he's got any potential spots he can drop in, maybe. Asking some questions about the models, maybe, or just double checking what's readied up and what's not.
I
So
mean,
I
this
kn-
is where this very open board comes into play too, because Micro doesn't even really mind going first here. He knows that he's going to get to shoot first if there's a shootout. He can move his guys and just see the whole map.
Mhm.
This is a very very open board, and I mean, just look at where that middle hot shot volley gun is. The heavy, he sees all
Yeah,
right now.
pretty much every
He's
objective and anything he can't see, his two buddies on the edges can cover for him, right? So,
Yep.
yeah, he definitely has the board covered, and those are four shotguns, correct? Yeah.
Yeah,
Heavy
four
heavy 4,
shots.
24 inches, strength 4, AP 2, damage 1. So those are pretty deadly, especially against, these. I mean, the invulnerable saves, yeah, but if you've got to make, 2 plus of them because you're getting shot 4 times, it gets harder to make those saves.
Yeah, so where Ryan just moved that Mandrake, the hotshot volley gun down here will not have a shot on him, although
Yep.
the one in the middle almost certainly will, and it will be unobscured.
Yeah, the one in the middle most definitely does. Looks like that is what they're discussing right now, and Micro just pinged it to let him know, like, yeah, this guy can definitely see. But you are correct, he has blocked down that lane over here. Yeah. And I mean, that's something too, right? Though, when you consider, and mind you, also Ryan will have a shot on him, obscured, but still have a shot on that guy.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
for sure.
that's what happens when you remove these walls from these towers. This board gets turns into Swiss cheese, man. There's so many holes and so many angles you have to look at and ways you have to check. So you think a model's safe, and then you go, yeah, you can't see this guy, right? And then they ping 2 or 3 different models that can see him that you didn't think had a shot.
Yep.
You might be leaving him there though. We'll see. They're
I
having a
mean,
little.
basically, no matter where Ryan puts that Mandrake, there's going to be
Oh yeah.
something shooting at it
Oh
if he
yeah.
wants to stand on the objective.
Most definitely, right? And last week he lost 2 Mandrakes, I think, or lost one and had one take a flesh wound turn 1, and it looked bad. But again, those later turns, once they get into the combats and once they're re-rolling those charges and hitting on twos and any number of things that Druhkari do is when they get you, right? And he's not looking to get into combat with Gotfret. And to be fair, he doesn't really need to be super scared of Gotfret coming after him because Gotfret is meant to sit there and score that domination.
Yeah. And honestly, with only one target for Gotfret to realistically charge, at least so far,
Yeah.
Ryan will be perfectly comfortable just decisive moving next round and just running away with whatever the nearest model is, just to prevent that charge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. keep away, right? Got to stay away from the
Yep.
big, ugly 3 wound, 3 up save wall of a model that is Gotfret. Yeah, that model has caused me much anguish in my games. I can tell you that. As a Grey Knight player at LVO, having to go up against him twice was pretty terrible.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Unless you're rolling Mega Psychics, you're not taking that guy off the board very easily. So, all right, Ryan making some more decisions here. He is going to commit to that movement of that Mandrake. His leader is readied up, and I think he's doing some measurement for charge distance, maybe for turn 2 is what he's looking at right there, or potentially where he can bring in his deep strike. I mean, always difficult if you're only given the option to bring in your deep strike on your side of the board, right? Because then you're thinking, gosh, this model could have just run here and it would have been free. But it's one of those things where it's a double-edged sword because leaving them on the side of the board to deep strike makes your opponent think differently, makes them play differently, makes them set up differently. If you don't put them there, then obviously then you go, oh, I would have been able to deep strike them because they didn't screen it out, but they didn't have to because the models weren't in reserves. So it's kind of like sometimes even I know Bjorn and I have discussed like just putting a cheaper model in reserves, even if you're just going to bring it in on your own board edge for free. Uh, Puts all kinds of thoughts and decision making into your opponent's brain. So it can be useful in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, Ryan moving that Acothyst down just a little bit. You just got to be careful with Rouse coming down with around the Klaviex because that's the big target that Rouse probably wants to kill and would be most likely to kill.
Yeah. There is that big gap now, right, in his deployment zone in this back area, this little bubble here in between these 3 models. Mind you, the Nightfiend's readied up, right? But that's not the scariest thing. Acothyst is he running a gun? No, he's running that Venom blade. So yeah, that could be an issue, right? He could go at the Acothyst, he could go at the Klaviex with his Rouse. Uh, could
Yeah.
be.
Now, I mean, imagine now if that Klaviex was where that veteran is.
Oh yeah.
That Klaviex no longer fears the Overwatch from the Flamer.
Hmm.
The veteran can ready up and scare Rouse a little bit more.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, and Ryan is just going to ready up that Mandrake. That's bold.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess he's hoping he'll get shots on that flamer before he gets shots on him. But let's see, can this heavy gunner back here? I mean, this heavy gunner back here that's readied up can definitely see that Mandrake too. I'm assuming he's in range. Like we discussed, right? That Klaviex and that Mandrake having swapped positions would have been a little bit better, but he's gonna. This is the way it's been deployed, and this is the way he's gonna play it out. Oh, he's moving that Klaviex now, which is interesting because then he could potentially leave a pocket in this corner if he moves him too far. Uh, let's see.
Hmm. So the Klaviex is just kind of scooting around that corner. It looks like he is kind of gonna be committing to the screening.
Hmm.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be at a little bit of a cost though because, of course, he's gonna be getting shots with other models, right? I
Yeah.
mean, he might be denying Rouse, but there's other chances, and he can always just drop Rouse in front of one of the further Mandrakes.
Oh yeah, for sure, right? And obviously, he's gonna have to put him in before the other Mandrakes get deep striked in. So there's the potential for one of those other Mandrakes to come in and be the deterrent. But interesting, right? With that Klaviex positioning now, it's almost looking like we're gonna see a Klaviex and a Gotfret uh, battle, which is not a fight that I would want to get in as a Klaviex. Like, mind you, the Klaviex can dish out some damage, but that 3 up invuln is difficult to get through.
Yeah. Oh no, it would take some fortune for the Klaviex to come out on top there, especially against Catachan Gotfret.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, Catachan Gotfret. At least he can't. At least he can no longer receive the fixed bayonets command. That was the real broken Gotfret times.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was silliness.
All right. So he
Uh,
has committed to that move on the Klaviex. Looks like we're gonna get into Deep Strike now. And there's those Mandrakes. So gonna be spending 1 CP to bring in 3 of those. Got to be 5 inches
so
away from any opponent's
it is
models.
worth noting that he Micro's going to have to deep strike first if he's going to. Oh no,
Yes.
Ryan. Oh yeah, Micro
Yes,
did
yes,
go
yes, he
first.
will.
So
He'll have to put that in, which is why, like I was saying, yeah, those mandrakes could come in to help, you know, take out that Rouse model. But then again, then you're potentially dropping a mandrake somewhere that isn't as favorable. Although it looks like they're mostly going to have to go somewhere that isn't favorable, right? I think Micro's done a pretty good job of screening out here. Not sure. There might be some small pockets where he can fit him in, like potentially one here on this objective. I'm not sure the exact distance between this gunner and that gunner, the flamer there. Potentially, um, I know Rouse can come in. It looks like Rouse could come in this back pocket if he wanted to. Not sure if there's a spot for him here. Yeah, okay. So we have the outflank going on. Oh, interesting.
yeah, looks like he's going for the move that I was kind of mentioning, like just bringing him in front of one of the
Yep.
furthest forward mandrakes.
Now you have the potential, right? I can toss a grenade and then I can move, right? Fade and
Yeah,
fire. So yeah.
scamper on over. Although this means that Micro will, unless he issues an order for an advance move, which he could do.
Hmm.
Micro is going to be limiting himself to 2 objectives max here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess he might have just been too afraid of that Nightfiend to bring Rouse in here in the back. Which I mean, the shooting of the Mandrakes is nothing to scoff at, but he's still going to potentially take some shots here, although unreadied shots, right? So he's gonna get his own grenade off first. Yeah, that'll be an interesting interaction there. What is their fire and fade? Is that their full movement, or is it a designated distance?
It's 6 inches.
Okay, all right. So he wouldn't be able to himself get onto the forward objective, but he could drop back onto his own, leaving his sniper where he's at. Considering after that grenade gets used, Rouse isn't much of a threat on the board, right? He's going to turn into an objective holder at that point, and a spotter, I
Yeah,
guess, for his
if Raus
sniper.
doesn't, yeah, if Raus doesn't kill anything this round, then we're going to see Raus get charged and killed next round. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's see. All right, so the Mandrakes are coming in now. CP has been spent. And this might take a little while here. He's going to have to do some measuring. Like I said, there's potentially, I think, a pocket over here, but then you're sitting in between a flamer and a readied up hotshot volley gun, which isn't
yeah,
the best place to be.
I
Uh,
don't think there's anything. I think if I was Ryan, I probably would have just brought him in my own deployment zone because I'm not getting them onto that side of the board anyway. I might as well just bring them in for free. And
Save the CP, set him up on these
yeah,
objectives on the edges here. Yeah,
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 because I mean, with all the shooting that Micro has, you can only target so many models,
yeah,
and it's a lot of 1 damage attacks as well.
yeah. He might be able to get one on top of this tower, too. I'm not 100% sure. Um, Yeah, this is a tough situation he's in. Like we discussed, the model count, only 2 more models for the AdMech, but it's proven to be more than enough to screen out this deep strike threat, which is a big part of the Drukhari offensive here in this tournament. It's seen a lot of use. So let's see. Could have been interesting to see that grotesque, although I'm not sure how the grotesque would have fared, how that lineup would have fared against what Micro's brought.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that Grotesque will be a lot less afraid of these this shooting gallery than the Mandrakes are.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. See, now look at like you said, right? I believe that's within what the deployment zone would have been. So he could have brought this guy in for free, although he would have had to be a little bit closer to the edge of the board. But these models are going to come in the not greatest spot. And again, we're looking at that heavy gunner potentially having an unobscured shot on that guy. On both of those mandrakes, he has options.
Yeah. Granted, he'd have to pick one.
Yeah,
Couldn't go
yeah.
for both. But
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. Can't split the shots there, but looks like this guy on the edge, he would be able to see the further back one, I think. Yeah.
yeah, I think so
Yeah.
as well. I think Ryan's trying to specifically avoid that.
Yeah. Again, though, we'll be open to the shot from Rein. So you're taking one gun away, but the other two guns are going to have shots here. Let's see. And not to mention the grenade from Raus, obviously. This
Yep.
is a tough matchup. So besides the veteran and the Klaviex potential swap there, is there anything that you, as a fellow Druhkari player, and would have done differently, I guess, to start this game off, or is this just kind of the position that you're in against this sort of Astra Militarum list?
I mean, I think this is just the spot that you're in. I would have maybe considered instead of readying that top Mandrake, backing him up outside of 8 inches and then shooting. And then if I don't, if I do get that kill, then fire and fading onto that objective.
Yeah,
Um, like why even risk giving him the shots? But I guess Ryan does have the option to just fire and fade off of it. So it's not really much of a difference.
most definitely. Yeah, it's a tough position. This is I played before this tournament started. I was trying out a few different rosters, and I played against Micro once or twice and this Astra Militarum list, and it was just so disgusting to me that it's part of the reason I didn't even play in the tournament. Because I was like, I was like, how? Okay, I can't beat Druhkari. I can't beat this Astra Militarum list with the rosters that I was messing around with. Then what good is this to compete? It's like I'm not gonna be able to beat these teams. These are the strongest teams in my preparation anyway, or my testing. These were the two strongest teams. Obviously, you felt that Druhkari were really strong. You thought about them, and you ended up playing them. But it's just it can be so punishing because this Gotfret model is so strong. You have Ryan and Rouse and what they can do. Potential of Pious Vorn. You've got these cheap Flamer models. You've got these cheap Heavy Gunner models. You've just got so much at your disposal. And in a lot of my matchups with him, he just took those Flamers and had Pious Vorn with her Flamer and one of these Flamer models with its Flamer just pointed at objectives by going first. Like you said, he's not really phased by going first because he has the guns to cover the field, and he has the most survivable, possibly the most survivable, one of the most survivable melee units in the game to move up the field without fear. So it's a tough thing to stare down.
Yep. No, I mean this screening too is it's rough for Ryan. He can't get anything on that side of the board, which kind of rules out engage on all fronts, which I
Mhm.
think is not that bad. It's basically like you're gonna have to play conservative on this first round because this is when your team is going to be the weakest compared to his team.
Mhm.
As the game goes on, I mean, not even counting for power from pain, so like they're literally getting stronger. But further into the game you go, the more melee we're gonna have to see, and the Druhkari are gonna win out so long as Ryan's able to kite Gotfret throughout the game and kind of keep him away.
Mhm. That's interesting. I didn't know you could do that with the models. He's just put a ring around him of 5 inches.
Yeah, that's a very useful tool. I think that's part of the TTS to or Battlescribe to TTS thing.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. I'll have to find out how to do that myself because I did not know that was possible, and that's actually really cool and really helpful for whether it's for auras or in this case, I think he was doing it for his deep striking. Looked like he was talking about trying to fit one in on this tower, like I mentioned earlier, in between Gotfret and Rouse, but Rouse coming in there where he did really eliminated even that pocket. So we're not
Yeah, I mean it
looking.
might still be possible. I mean it's 4.5 inches up, so
Yeah, I think
there
they were
should be
they
an
were
area on the.
measuring diagonally, so I'm not sure how that gets. It looked like they were measuring diagonally from each model up to where that position would be. I'm not sure if there's a ruling on whether you just measure straight vertical or how that gets taken into account. But
So that Mandrake right there, it would be obscured if you put it there right in the middle, smack
hmm
dab. It would be obscured from the hotshot volley gun and it'd be outside of 8 inches of the flamer. I mean, as ballsy as that position looks, it's actually not that aggressive.
yeah, and it potentially, I guess, lures away, right? Like that might look, it might almost just be kind of trying to draw attention away from the mandrakes that he does have on an actual objective there on the other side of the map, right? Because if this gunner's shooting at him in the center, then it's not shooting at his boys that are on an objective, and it's not shooting at his Klaviex. Although I'm not sure it can see the Klaviex. Yeah, it can't, but Rein can, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, this board state I would say is looking quite favorable for Micro. I think it's going to depend on how his first round of shooting goes, right? Like this could be shooting fish in a barrel, or this could be, you know, putting one flesh wound down, right? It's really dependent on how this first round of shooting goes is really going to, I think, set the tone moving forward. Kind of similar to our last game, right? We knew the Tau had to really get a lot of damage done, and they just weren't able to do it, and the tide slowly turned against them. And that's kind of this situation too, right? Like if this Flamer can do some damage turn one, great, but you know, it's definitely going to get charged. If these guns in the back, not so much, as far as threat, of being charged, but they're a lot. They can't really do anything if your models are tied up in combat. So, a charge onto this Rouse, a charge onto that Flamer, and you've got some models, moved up the board, taking out threats and safe in melee. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so far all the hotshot volley guns, except for if he puts that guy there, will be hitting on 6s on their
Okay.
targets.
There you go.
At least on the middle guy, and not those guys on the bottom side that he already had set up. Those will be hitting on 4s, but he's putting them more than 2 inches apart, which is smart for Ryan. I like that.
Yeah. All right. He is committing very heavily to this objective in this side of the board. Um, Any thoughts there, just as far as that is the side of the board that, you've got Gotfret on? You were talking about a decisive move to move models away from Gotfret, but at this point, he's got a number of models there that are within charge range of that Gotfret.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
When I play Gotfret, I want my models as far away from him as possible. Obviously, we've discussed it. There's not a whole lot of options, right? Putting them down here on this other objective puts them in range of that Flamer, which is not something you really want. Putting them here, like you said, he's going to take shots from this hotshot volley gun, but you're talking about, I guess he'd be hitting on 4s there. It doesn't look obscured, but I'm assuming it's long range. So
I don't even think the sniper rifle takes long range because it's a sniper. But
oh well, yeah. I was talking about the hot shot over here.
oh, right. I
Yeah,
thought you were talking about Ryan.
the Scion hot shot over there. Yeah.
So Ryan is taking its first shot. Ryan hit with the reroll.
Yeah. Not sure what he is
And
shooting at.
it did. He's shooting at this guy in the middle.
Oh, okay. All right. Awesome.
So Ryan gets a 5-up armor save. He
Which
does
he does
not
not
get
make.
it. I don't know if he's thinking about re-rolling that.
Well, like we discussed, right? He pulled those shots away from his objective models, which on one hand is good. If you're going to lose a model, better it be one that's not scoring you any points. Yeah. So he ended up with all three of them, I believe. All three of his deep strikes came in, mind you, not at the edges of the boards, but they came in his deployment zone, it appears. So it's a tough way to spend that one CP, but
Oh, I don't know what just happened, but
yeah, he rolled a 2 there, and that was
that's
not
not an armor save, but they've
yeah.
seemed to have moved past it, and there's no flesh wound on that Mandrake, so
Okay. Interesting.
maybe I think Micro forgot to give his order, but I don't know what.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but he's flipped over another shot. Unless that guy just doesn't have any shots. Probably just doesn't have any shots there in the back. Okay, yeah, doing orders now. Okay.
I'm not sure. I imagine we might see like onto this like Sergeant Chainsword. Oh no, he's doing bring it down on the Flamer.
Okay, so that was the feel no pain. He didn't get it. That was the out of action, only a 2. So we are looking at a flesh wound unless Micro re-rolls that, which it doesn't look like he's going to. So that Mandrake is on 1 flesh wound now.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
Micro is
he
going to
is
re-roll
re-rolling
it.
it.
All
I was
right.
gonna say if I'm in Micro spot, I'm
Oh,
re-rolling
and he re-rolls into another 2.
it. Yeah,
So
it's tough to kill Druhkari. Don't let the toughness 3/5-up save fool you. When you get a chance to take one of those guys out, you gotta.
oh, absolutely. Like we were just discussing, this first turn of shooting is going to be a big going to give us an idea of where this game is going, right? If he can take some models off the board, that's going to potentially secure the board state for him. If he can't, then these models are going to be moving up into his face in the coming second and third, and obviously fourth turn as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, Ryan whiffs that shot
Ooh,
onto the
double ones
flamer.
on his readied shots there from the Mandrake onto the Flamer. Yeah.
Perhaps a fire and fade. No, he's just gonna let that guy eat a flamer, I guess. I
So would you
can't
have?
say I.
Where would you have faded him to? Further back? Oh, out of the Flamer's range, or?
Yeah, just off the objective. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
Well, I mean,
especially.
right now
Oh,
it's.
sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, right now he's got 2-1 in objectives, right? But we're assuming that this Rouse is gonna toss the grenade and then move on to that objective to give them both 2, correct?
Yeah, probably.
All right. Because he didn't do the move with the sniper, so he's leaving the sniper where he's at. Rein, that is, and
Oh,
Ryan, not
Ryan.
Ryan, but
Yeah, I think Ryan is considering the fire and fade right now.
okay. He can hear you calling him a caveman now in the back of his head, and he's thinking, "I've got to rethink this move here."
Yeah, for a moment I thought Micro is considering shooting with the flamer right now, and that would have been caveman worthy of a shout out instead of shooting with Rouse. Yeah, fire and fade. So kind of what I saw coming there.
All right.
And I mean, this is okay because again, you're looking for the conservative play turn one. You're not going to come out ahead in the early game here. You just want to move 8.1 inches away, set up a charge for next turn onto that flamer. The more melee bouts that you can set up for the second round, the better that the board is going to start to look for you as the Druhkari player.
Oh, absolutely. You're talking about a difference of 1 point being scored, right? Because he's already got the hold 1. So you're looking at, and like we talked about, we're expecting that Rouse to fire and fade anyway, and to get 2. So you'd be looking at, you wouldn't be getting the hold more. You might potentially be giving away the hold more, but at the same time, you're securing that model's safety. You pull him out of range of the Flamer, then the Flamer can't flame him when he charges turn 2, and you're re-rolling charges turn 2. So an 8.1 inch charge is not the most difficult thing to make. This is definitely the solid play here. So
Yeah. So now we're going to see. I don't even know if that demo volley gun has. Okay, the demo volley gun still has line of sight on the
yeah,
veteran
it
Mandrake.
does. He would have had to
Long
pull him a little
range
bit further to the
obscured.
left, I think.
Yeah. Long range obscured is hitting on 6s, so it's about as
Yeah,
good as it's going to get without full obscurity. That guy and then the other volley gun are going to get to shoot before we see Rouse do anything.
yeah. Now, did he measure the distance from the flamer there? Because I didn't see a measurement. I don't know if he just eyed it or if we missed the measurement. I don't want to measure right now myself because I don't want to alert anybody to it. But
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he might be out of 24 inches. That's pretty long. Okay, so the volley gun now hitting on
he's shooting at
5s.
this
He
guy out
gets
here in the open, correct?
yeah, gets 1 wound through.
All right.
So this is a 5-up invuln save for the Mandrake.
No
Does
go.
not go through for Ryan. So now we got a 6-up. Feel no pain doesn't go through. 1 damage.
And a flesh
Flush
wound.
wound.
Okay. Oh, that's brutal, right? You get that through, you want to take, especially when you already used your reroll and still secured a flesh wound on that first model. Now you've got 2 flesh wounded models, which obviously, the more flesh wounds you're putting out, the closer you're getting somebody to a break test. But
Right, I'm going to
not what you
measure
want.
this now. Yeah, no, it would have been really hard for Ryan to get away from that. He gets a 6. That's exactly what he needed. Wounding on a 3. Actually, wounding on a. Well, I don't know. Is
Well,
that
I actually meant
model?
I was looking at the measurement for from him to the flamer. I assume he's out of the 8.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh
He
yeah,
is out
but
of the
he's
8
at
for the
9.
Flamer.
He's at 9.1. Interesting. So he went kind of an extra inch there.
Yeah, definitely didn't need to do that. Okay, so he actually got the kill onto the Mandrake
Okay, well, that
with
charge
the
is
hotshot volley gun.
not happening anyway, right? Yeah, so he was a demo, so it was wounding on 2s. That was the discussion you were having while I was rambling on about the distance from the flamer. That no longer
Yep.
matters. That definitely, that bounty is not in a super easy position for Micro to get, but you're happy to have that model off the board and your flamer have some safety over there.
Now we're looking at Raus. Oh my lord, that is 5 shots with the
That is,
grenade.
yeah, D6 grenade.
Don't know who that's going on to, but he can only choose one, I'm pretty sure. Okay, so that's a lot of hits, and he's
Yeah,
going to be wounding on 2s.
that's 4
So
wounds. I mean, you get the 5-up invuln, right? So.
yeah, 4 or 5 ups. He hasn't made one yet.
Oh, and he
man.
almost makes all of them. Oh, wow.
Damage is D3. So if this is 1 damage, then there is the opportunity.
Ooh,
Okay, so we could see a 6 up.
feel no pain. Oh,
Oh,
another 5. Brutal. All right, let's see.
that's pretty devastating there. Flesh
Another
wound.
flesh wound, though. That is the best case scenario. You had to make 4 5-up saves, and he made
Yep.
3 of them, and he ended up with a flesh wound on that model. This is not what Micro wanted out of his shooting, right? He's taken one model out, but otherwise he's just put 3 flesh wounds down on the board. I mean, I guess, right? He's one flesh wound away from being at a break test, right? Though, so I mean, that is one positive here, I guess, in this scenario. But
Yeah, if it's going to be tough to break Druhkari. But yeah. So Ryan does have the option to the legitimate possibility to kill Rouse with shooting and then prevent Holdmore.
mhm.
That would be a pretty big swing, I think.
Yeah, which it looks like he's gonna take some shots right now.
I wonder though, if I'm Ryan, I'm going for before I worry about Rouse, I'm trying to shoot that heavy off of the middle of the board before he can take shots at me.
Yeah, that would definitely be the scarier thing right here, right? Which he has 2 models, I believe, that can see that. One flesh wounded Mandrake and that other one sitting on the back of that objective. I think all 3 of those actually have shots at him. But yeah, I would probably take my first shots there, considering that's definitely going to be the first non-readied shots that Micro gets off, right? Or no, I guess Rouse was.
Yeah.
My apologies,
Yeah,
Rouse was.
Rouse
But
was.
the
So
the next
Ryan shooting
potential,
now.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess what's rough for Ryan here is that he actually doesn't have any nice charge options turn 2 as of right now.
He's got
Like
a lot of
nothing
potential
really.
charges onto that Gotfret model, but
Yeah, aside from Gotfret.
yeah,
Right, so we're gonna see a Mandrake shoot right now. We just don't know at what.
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think the best call. Don't shoot the flamer. You want to shoot the guy that can shoot you. Yeah. So.
Oh, he's pinging that flamer though.
I don't know why he
Oh,
would shoot the flamer. That's.
oh gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, there's your first caveman of the night, right?
Yeah. This is a major caveman moment. I mean, why not go for the volley guy? I mean, even if he just flesh wounded, that's another negative
Yeah.
modifier.
Well,
I guess
he's
he gets a
not.
hit.
Yeah, he gets a hit.
Oh, 2 hits, I guess, unobscured. That's couple of
Two
mortals.
two mortals. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right.
So injury roll
He
here.
had get down, right? What does get down do again?
It's reroll wound rolls of 1. That
Okay.
flamer was not shooting this round. And
Yeah.
he's dead.
Yeah.
So that's pretty nice for Ryan to be able to get kill 1 this round. You need that just to keep up a little bit in points.
Absolutely.
They're going to drag that bounty down right now.
Yeah.
Still,
All right.
I mean, you could have shot at him at any time though. That's the problem with that play.
Yeah, yeah. You could have gotten him. You had a number of other models that are all. I guess maybe his thought process was that's the only one who was going to be able to see the flamer. And if the hotshot shot it off the board, he'd be out of luck. Whereas if the hotshot shoots these guys off, he's got some other mod, like all 3 of them can see the hotshot. That might have been his thought process, right? Because I'm looking from the point of view of these mandrakes, and I think the banner there would have covered him from these guys on that objective. So the only one who would have had shots on the flamer would have been that guy.
Yeah. All right. So we're seeing the hotshot volley gun fire into one of the mandrakes, and that's 2 hits. Oof.
Yeah. 2 wounds.
Despite the injury rolls not going his way, Micro has been getting more wounds than expected through. Ooh,
2
and there's a
5-ups,
couple
2
of saves.
6-ups. Yeah, so we have the saves here. That was on this Mandrake. So he lives to fire back.
Yeah, I'm curious now. Now that Ryan has a lot more freedom to choose who he wants to shoot at, I'm wondering what he's going to go for here. Because
Yeah,
for me, Rouse is the obvious target to just plug shots into and deny Holtmore.
absolutely.
Because then we're looking at a tie game.
Yeah, and
Uh,
especially right. I mean, gosh, you would have loved to seen those mortals on Rouse, right? That's where you want those 6-up wounds from
oh
the
yeah,
Mandrake shots on the 2 wound models. Oh gosh, is he looking? Why is he measuring to Gotfret right now? Okay, he's measuring to the some other guys too, but he was doing some measuring to Gotfret there,
yeah,
which feels a little bit like a waste of those shots because these weaker models are the ones that are gonna fall. I mean, I know he's already secured kill one, right? But you wanna take out some of these gun lines if you can.
yeah. I mean, if you can get rid of some of these big shots, it makes the game so much easier.
Okay, he's
It looks like
shooting
he's
at the
the
chainsword.
sergeant. I wouldn't do that, but looks like that's what he's thinking about. I mean, he's only got a bolt pistol. It's not a threat to
Yeah,
him.
even in melee, I'm not very scared of that guy with the chainsword. But
Yeah, he's hitting on fives against Mandrakes because of the weapon skill 4, and then it is strength 4 because of Catachan. But yeah,
okay.
so this guy's shooting into Rouse.
Rouse. Okay. All right. So
Mm.
he has he has seen he can hear those caveman calls. So he's thinking what would Shane do here in this
yeah,
scenario?
that
It
is a
gets
hit.
one hit, yeah.
He's praying for that mortal here because that's
Oh, and he
oh
gets it. Wow. Okay, that's
wow,
huge. So he's taking him.
that's an
It's
injury roll.
yeah, it's still one damage injury roll, but he gets him to the injury roll, which is I guess he still gets the save against the one damage from the shot,
No,
right?
because it's AP1, so it cuts right through.
Oh, you're right.
Mortal
Okay.
goes through,
Yeah.
and the AP1 cuts through. So that's 0 wounds left on Rouse.
Okay. He needed that, right? Anything else, and
Oh
it's
yeah,
just down to one wound, and he stays there, gets the. I mean, he's still got more shots on him, but that secures to take him out right here on the first shot. Then that gives him some choices with the other two mandrakes to shoot at. All right,
yeah.
here
So
we
here
go.
comes the injury, and he's out.
Oh, and
That's
he
huge.
secures it. Wow. Okay.
Denies, yeah, that denies Holdmore. That's going to tie the game up 2-2 at the end. I don't. I guess it will be 2-3 because Micro's looking at that domination. But yeah, that's a huge moment right there.
Oh, absolutely brutal. When you consider how many out of action rolls that Micro himself got to and just wasn't able to take anything out, putting all these flesh wounds down, and then both of these out of actions for Ryan have just gone through exactly like he wanted.
Yeah. Ryan is wishing that Killmore was a thing right now.
So denies the hold more, like we discussed, right? He's only got Godfred on in the center, and we've got these three guys here. Still has some shots left, so we're looking at like you were discussing. Might make more sense to take those shots onto that Scion Gunner or potentially to that Chainsword as he was looking at before, which he's pinging again.
Looks like the Chainsword's taking a pot shot at that Mandrake. He'll be hitting on
Okay,
sixes
all right.
just with the bolt pistol. Although the bolt pistol, if it hits, that no, that doesn't
No.
hit. Never mind. Um,
And now all of a sudden, a board state that was looking highly in Micro's favor uh, is kind of turning a little
oh
bit.
God, he's
Oh, he's
shooting
shooting at
Godfret.
Godfret.
Jesus.
All right, can we get a caveman for the fans?
Might as well throw those dice in the garbage while you're at it. Well, he gets one hit. Wounding on a 3.
Gets
It
the wound.
wounds. 3 up armor save.
And he gets the
Oh,
save.
would you look at that?
I mean, that's what Gottfried's there to do, right? He's there to get people's attention. It does seem bizarre to me. Like I said, I mean, he wasn't going to take it out, right? I guess he hits both and he mortal wounds both.
Yeah.
Even
And
then,
even
you've
then,
got
he's got to
two,
fail a
two of
couple
saves.
saves.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Is he going to take more shots into him?
I really hope not.
It looked like he was.
It's a couple hits. I don't know what
Yeah.
this. Only one wound, whatever. Oh no, it's a
No
1 and a
wound.
2.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, not where I would have put my shots. Certainly not where you would have put yours. But I mean, he still ends up in a pretty positive situation after that turn 1. The way that it was looking early on, it looked like Micro was going to have a chance to take some models out. He wasn't. We're going into scoring, so
Yep. So 3-2.
yeah. And this is a situation too, right? With that flamer getting taken out, he lost the engage on all fronts. So that was actually really big, that flamer getting taken out. Now that we think about it, right? You were talking about why shoot at it, it's
Oh,
not going to
right.
get shots, but that takes away engage on all fronts as well from Micro. So that's pretty tough for Micro. He's in a situation now where he doesn't really even have any models very close to that quadrant at all.
And I
So
mean, think about what engage on all fronts is going to mean to him for the rest of the game. He needs to get models closer to the Mandrakes and the
yeah,
Klaviex.
yeah,
They need to be in that part of the board. So that's a secondary that, quite frankly, I don't think Micro is going to max for
yeah.
sure this game. Like I really highly doubt that. Um, if Gotfret leaves the middle and charges, that could be a threat to Ryan, but he's unlikely to get on more than one Mandrake with a 1 damage attack. And then, suddenly denying domination's a lot easier.
All right, there's your turn 2 initiative, and it looks like Micro has won again. So Micro will be moving first here. What are you looking for him to do now, right? This engage on all fronts is going to be very difficult for him to score. He's got to hold that domination, so it almost feels like he really can't take Gotfret into that objective, even if he wanted to. Uh, I mean, I guess he could potentially take it in there, right? He could tie up 2 of those Mandrakes. That might be a good play, but and then just move up his Sergeant or his Gunner into that position to hold domination. But yeah, I don't know. Micro's in a bit of a tough spot here, just based on what secondaries he has and how the board state unfolded with those out of action rolls.
Yeah, I mean, Micro can't walk forward. I mean, he really can. He has a little bit of room to move forward onto objectives. But again, if you move Gotfret away, then he's getting tugged away from scoring victory points. It looks like he's just charging everybody with Gotfret.
Yeah, which I mean, again, potentially could be a good situation, right? You can tie up 2 of these models. Maybe he could tie up all 3. I'm not 100% sure. But then you look at, right, you've got this other Mandrake here. So if you pull Gotfred away, and then let's say you pull your Sergeant up to get domination, this Mandrake has a charge onto the center of the board. This Acothyst potentially has a charge onto the center of the board. So does this Klaviex. Mind you, a little bit longer charges, but you're talking about re-rolling charges already because we're on turn 2 with these Druhkari. That could be, I mean, gosh. So you could be potentially losing domination and you
Yeah.
already can't score engage on all fronts right now with the state. This is going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah, I think Micro is in a rough spot. Granted, I mean, you kind of have to. The potential to charge 3 Mandrakes with Gotfret is probably his only way out.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I could see maybe a feigned retreat from Ryan on one of these guys just to prevent that scenario from occurring.
Hmm.
Um,
And just again, for people who aren't as familiar with the tactics.
that would allow him to. It'd be a 1 CP tactic. He could basically retreat. Well, I guess does that work with? I don't think that works with reactions. I think that's only a.
Only falling back from when you've been in combat.
Yeah, it's
It's to
called the
fall back
cruel
and shoot,
deception
right?
or something.
To
Yeah,
fall
fall
back
back
and
and
shoot.
shoot.
Yeah, so I do believe you are correct. That only works if you've already been in combat. So not a situation here, but it does look like they're measuring it right now, and it looks like he could potentially get in between all 3 there. Maybe not to that one in the back, but
Yeah, not the one in the back. That's actually kind of huge for Ryan.
yeah, because now this guy can sprint up the board on this right side, right? Potentially hide underneath the tower here from the guns. Uh,
Yeah,
Obviously, we'll have to see where Micro moves those guns, but this is another tough situation with all these guns. Turn 1, the way that they were set up, it covered a lot of the board. So now he's lost some of that to the point that going first could potentially limit his shots again more here, especially not having the readied shots. Uh, could be losing out on more of this shooting. And you've got anybody other than that heavy model, he's going to take another -1 from moving with their heavy weapons. So
they are just going to fire Overwatch. So there's
all
going to be
right.
6 shots that, again, probably aren't going to kill him. Might take a wound or 2 off.
Nothing
No.
there.
4 more. Nothing there.
So we're looking for 6s here in Overwatch, and then he's really looking for 6s again
Oh, yeah.
in the wound
Nothing.
phase, but nothing there. So all these shots bounce off of Gotfret, and let's take a look at his charge. 6 inches. So, I
Not
mean,
great.
yeah, not great, but he's lucky, right? This isn't the longest charge. And to be fair, he wasn't going to get in on that back model anyway, right? So,
Yeah.
6 is what he needed, and oh, yeah, I think that has to do with those objectives being slightly 3D, but he gets the model down. All right. Maybe we'll get another furiously shaking Gotfret model out of it. Uh,
Is he trying to keep him on both of those guys? Looks like it, yeah.
yeah, I think that's where he wants to be.
So, I mean, yeah, Gotfret could seriously do work there. There is the possibility that he could just whiff too. I mean, talking about Mandrakes, if Rein pops that 1 CP -1 to hit tactic on one of those guys, that could
Yeah,
suddenly he's hitting on 5s on whoever
yeah.
he targets.
Well, and the difficult part of that, right, is if one of those mandrakes survives, the next turn he can use that. He can use that tactic you were talking about, and then that leaves Gotfred out in the middle of nowhere doing nothing. Obviously, he could potentially hold an objective. He could fall back and be back in the center of the board for domination, but he's definitely not doing any damage next turn if either of these guys survives that combat.
Yeah.
All right, so this
So I
is
don't
what we.
know. I think that was an advance right there for Micro.
Yeah, I think the plan is to get this sergeant up, get him in that quadrant that he needs him in for engage on all fronts, but also keeping him within domination range, but maybe not. We'll see. Either way, it's going to be scary because he's going to be staring down this Mandrake and this Klaviex. Okay, ends up just moving him here. Uh, so definitely not getting into that engage on all fronts, but also staying at kind of a healthy distance. These are a little bit more difficult charge ranges to make. So, one more turn that he can survive, although it's one turn that he's not scoring domination and not scoring engage. So yeah, because I
Yeah.
don't I don't believe that model's within 3 inches of the middle. Um, so that's going to be tough for him, especially when you look at the state of the board and like we've discussed, every single turn these guys ramp up, and he doesn't want to get closer to them to give them easier charges, but it's almost like if you're not doing it this turn, you're not going to do it next turn. You're not going to do it turn 4, and if you do it turn 3 or turn 4, they're just going to be even scarier models, right? They're going to do, hitting
Yeah.
on 2s. So when do you do it? And if you're not, what are you hoping for here? Are you hoping to try to break him maybe, get some shots onto these models? But again, he's going to have the chance to hide from all these shots, Ryan will. So I don't know.
Yeah,
This
and
is
that's gonna be huge. He's gonna set up the turn 3 like melee tar pit. That's his win condition essentially.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, stay away from as many shots as you can. Don't get to a break test. Don't break, and potentially secure these later round combats for your guys. So, like you said, it
Yeah.
is a difficult task to break them, but it's still he's one flesh wound one flesh wound away from it right now. Correct. So
Yeah. I actually wonder if it would have been worth it maybe for Ryan to decisive move and charge that Acothyst into Gotfret. It would free up
hmm,
those Mandrakes in the bottom,
yeah,
and the Acothyst is toughness 4, so Gotfret's wounding on 4s. He's got a 4-up invuln, so the power armor doesn't do anything. And his attacks, he's got 4 attacks hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. I mean, pure volume of attacks could weaken Gotfret a little bit. And
yeah.
ultimately, what you really need to do with Gotfret is just get in, survive, and then get out, because that's a whole round that he's not going to be
Oh yeah.
useful.
Yeah, well, and that's two mandrakes that he no longer has a movement for. You'd rather, like you said, tar pit him kind of with that Acothyst. Potentially kill him, right? You're wounding on, you've got the decent shot at wounding. I mean, he's going to get the 3-up saves, but, he's got what, 4 or 5 attacks on that combat Acothyst?
4
Four
attacks on
attacks.
the
So
Venom Blade guy.
so a little bit scarier of a combatant for the Gotfret, would have tied him up, would have also kept him in on domination, right? Which Ryan knows that he has domination. So maybe he's like, okay, if he's getting that Gotfret off the center, whatever he puts in the center, I'm way happier to charge that than I am to charge Gotfret.
Yeah.
So maybe that was Ryan's thinking there. But yeah, this board state looks like Ryan had to step away, but we can take a look at the board state right now. So Micro's finished all of his movement for turn 2. Oh no, he hasn't.
Looks like one
One
volley
gunner,
gun.
yeah,
He's
one
walking
gunner
it
he
up.
forgot, yeah, here, so, or not forgot rather, he just waited to move till the end of his turn here. So this will be the last model moved here from Micro. Um, he's readied up a bunch of guys.
Got to be careful with the Klaviex moving out and potentially getting shot at by the volley guns. AP2 is a little bit scary for him.
Yeah, definitely takes him to a 5-up save. Still the 2 wound model with only the 1 damage, and like we discussed, right? These gunners are going to be hitting on. I mean, at least 5s if you're. I mean, I guess it'll most likely be over half range from these guys on the back lines. Maybe not the guy at the middle table, but then you're looking at potentially being obscured too. So you're hitting on 5s. When you're rolling 4 dice, it's a little bit easier to have those higher numbers to hit. But yeah, I mean, we saw what damage they potentially did turn 1, and it just didn't go in Micro's favor with the out of action rolls. But can do your dice stay that good for 2 turns in a row to get that kind of like hitting on 5s, hitting on 6s? I doubt it, right?
Yeah.
So looks like an advance on this Mandrake.
So Ryan can re-roll that for free because it's turn 2, and he does, and he gets a 5. So that's for 13 inches.
Yeah, that'd be 13
He's
inches, so he can move up,
probably looking to go pick up that bounty.
pick up that bounty, right? He'd be staring down that heavy. Uh,
Pretty aggro.
yeah, hot shot volley gun rather, not heavy volley gun, but I mean, if he survives, he's scoring that objective, and I guess Ryan could potentially shoot here and then for free jump onto that objective to deny it from him. But he's trying to get in on those bounties, which I almost feel like you could set up for a turn 3 charge and then pick that up then maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. That is a bold Mandrake.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely going to get shot at. But I guess you're potentially looking at, if these guns are shooting at this Mandrake that's already flesh wounded, then they're not shooting at his Klaviex and they're not shooting at his
Oh, and you know
Acothyst.
what? The Mandrake is actually obscured from Ryan. If
Definitely
you go into
obscured
his
from
head.
Rein. Yeah, definitely obscured. He can see him, but he's definitely obscured from Rein in the position that Rein is in on top of
So,
these
and
boxes.
can't forget too that Ryan is no longer getting all those free rerolls now that Rouse is dead.
Yes, Rouse is dead. Rouse is spotter, where if he can see the same model, then he gets to reroll those. They both do. But yeah, with Rouse dead now, off of that, uh, off of that super good roll that Ryan was able to secure, where he got the mortal wound as well on the Mandrake shooting. Which again, we've discussed this many times, off stream, but I can't say I've ever had a game of Druhkari where you don't at least get 1 or 2 of those.
No, always, yeah.
Yeah,
We've already seen 2 of them,
yeah,
both the
in
kills.
1 turn, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
So that's bounty. So that'll even it up for now. Extremely, extremely bold move there. He's going to be taking 5 shots hitting on force from 2 separate models at least.
Yeah. So that is where he's decided to move him. So we're going to look at what other movement choices Ryan makes now. He's kind of checking out his options. Obviously, he wants to get on some objectives. Okay, they're looking at domination, measuring right now, which it does not look like that sergeant is in range. So, uh, and I don't think, even if Ryan shoots and heads that way, I don't think he can get within 3 inches himself. So we're not going to be getting a domination score from Micro this round.
He could use the order for the advance.
Oh, you're right. Yes, the leader can issue that order. Now, does that advance? How does that work? Does it work no matter what kind of movement they've done? Like if they've advanced already, or if they've any of those things?
That I'm not sure about.
Okay.
I believe the wording is instead of shooting. So I believe you need to be viable to shoot this round.
Okay, which that sergeant wouldn't be correct because he's got a pistol and he advanced. So
Yeah.
not 100%
Um,
sure how that works out.
I'm actually not sure why that guardsman. I see what happened here. Sorry, I thought the guardsman was the sergeant, and I was like, he was there last turn. How did he advance?
Oh yeah, no, he moved up.
But yeah.
He moved the guardsman up from the back.
Oh, and I think Ryan is charging Gotfret with the Acothyst.
Acothyst. Okay. I mean, he's definitely in on a roll of 11 here.
Yeah, I mean, suddenly we're looking at 10 attacks into Gotfret.
I mean, I've seen him take a lot of punishment. So
Yeah.
in my mind, this isn't the play. But I mean, I guess on one hand, right, you're looking what better way to move him kind of up the field while also keeping him safe. I mean, I
Mhm.
say safe. He can definitely take attacks from this Gotfret, right? So I don't know how safe he is, but safer from the guns rather. Not sure there's not a whole lot of places to have advanced that Acothyst up the field where it wouldn't be getting shot by many number of things. Same goes for this Klaviex and this Mandrake, right? The Mandrake at least has the innate -1. Potentially you can hide him behind these banners. I don't know if you're going to get this big Klaviex in behind these banners and hide him. But yeah, Acothyst into Gotfret. Interesting to me. Like I said, my experience with Gotfret is keep my models as far away from him as possible, not invite him to a tea party, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I mean,
Tom
at the
chimed in.
very least. Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, Tom chimed in. He said, move, move, move can be given to any eligible shooting model. So yeah, if you advance and you can't shoot your weapon, you would not be an eligible shooting model.
All right, so really it would have to be the hotshot volley gun.
Yeah.
Which she's going to want to shoot with that model. I will say that joining the tar pit with the Acothyst does kind of help guarantee that Ryan will at least hold that bottom left objective. It's extremely unlikely that Gotfret's going to take 2 of those 3 out of action.
Certainly.
Because right now with the board state, Ryan could easily not hold anything if he just left those 2 there and then Gotfret killed one of them.
Yeah. So if you're micro here, do you split those attacks between the 2 Mandrakes, or what are you thinking?
I mean, it's kind of a bad situation for Gotfret because if you're not killing all 3 of those things, right? Which means next turn you're going to be useless. They're going to fall back.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess you try.
Yeah. And I mean, right? You
Which could
try. I
lead
would
to
say
disaster.
you split those up. You try for the double kills there because the Acothyst also isn't as scary from falling back because he's also an only melee model. So if he falls back,
Yeah.
he's kind of useless as well. Mind you, at this point, Gotfret has gone from domination holder to frontline. I need to save this game. Destroyer of worlds potentially. So.
Yeah.
His role in this composition has changed by the board state and the outcome of turn 1. So
what are we going to see? Oh my goodness. Did he advance that model? Oh, he did. That's an 11-inch advance. So he's just waltzing right up there.
okay.
Now,
Not looking obscured right now from this hotshot volley gun in the center of the board, but I assume he'll
or
address
the
that.
demo. Yeah. Well, maybe a little from the demo. Although the demo is the one you don't want to be obscured from, if anything.
Yeah, yeah. Although the demo did move, so he will be at a -1 already from moving and firing a heavy weapon. Some trouble with these towers. He's getting them.
Ryan should have cloned this model because, like, if he decides he doesn't like this advance, he could try and re-roll it and then bring it back. But he just moved the guy right over.
He's
So
just gonna, toss him in there, just out of combat with that sergeant. But
I mean, Jesus, if you're gonna move there, you might as well move on to the bounty over there from the flamer,
right, yeah, be on it.
Instead, he's standing conveniently close to the bounty, but not on it.
Conveniently close to the bounty. In looks like, I don't know. Looks like he can still see the back leg of him from this center model. Would you say?
Oh, that's really close.
Yeah.
I would say probably, but it depends on how they decide to rule that.
Yeah,
I think
obviously.
Ryan would probably have a little room to shift it over from the looks. He definitely would.
Yeah, just to make sure, like, intent is to not be seen by that model or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Doing an
Which
advance for the
Ryan
Klaviex.
does. Yeah, Ryan's always really good at voicing that part of the game, like voicing his intent.
Hmm.
So I'm sure that they've come to that conclusion. I don't think Ryan would have put him there without hiding, especially now having seen, knowing that he can be totally hidden.
Yeah, so that's a 6 on the advance for the Klaviex, 13 inches. Where are you putting this Klaviex, Shane?
Oh, I don't even know. I'm going to try and hide him. Probably like right there, right where the 7 is.
So again, very close to the bounty, but not on the bounty.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to put the Klaviex on the bounty just because the Klaviex is a little more afraid of that shooting.
Yeah,
He's not getting the minuses. The armor, and it's 5-up save regardless. So I
yeah.
guess
5-up invuln or a 5-up regular save for the Klaviex. So similar survival rates there for those two models. He does have the 2 wounds. Oh, he could be going upwards here, which,
I
I
was just
mean,
gonna say that
yeah,
I would maybe want to go up because there might be an angle up there where he can't be seen,
yeah.
and the charges are going to be nice next turn.
Well,
So
Rein is definitely going to see him, right? And it looks like he could potentially get an angle where that center gun doesn't see him. These towers, I mean, it's added so many different things, right? Like, oh, we've lost these walls on the edges, but now we've also created these scenarios with this, with the metal lattice work, where it's like, okay, this model can be seen through here. You know, there's this black square right here of banner that kind of blocks him, but also surrounding the banner is a bunch of see-through metal lattice work. So it's created a much tougher situation for hiding, even where those banners are.
yeah, I mean, I guess he could just put him up on that top objective. Bait shots out from the hot shot volley gun. You're either shooting the guy in the objective or you're shooting the Mandrake that's kind of dangerously close to you.
Yeah.
Force him to make some tough choices.
This combat is really where a lot of this turn is gonna be more or less decided, I guess. I mean, you're gonna have some shooting here. Obviously, you've got this Mandrake over here by Rein and the Scion hotshot volley. You're gonna have this Mandrake over here, but I feel like the most interesting part of this turn is gonna be that combat. But
Yeah, this Mandrake down on the right is he is toast.
you think so?
I think he's done. I
I
mean,
mean, I guess
five
he's got the
shots,
yeah.
and he's
We
already got a flesh wound. It's pretty ugly, but we'll see. Ryan still has no clue where he's putting this Klaviex.
yeah. I mean, it's a it's an oh, there you go. Cloned it this time, and he's looking to put him on top of this tower. Maybe get an idea of whether those shots can hit him, or
Yeah, I mean,
no, he's going for the bounty.
oh, there we go. Maybe seeing if he can get on the bounty without keep being seen, which I actually think might be possible if I'm being honest. Without being seen by the heavy, that is. Not sure about the demo.
Yeah.
Oh my god, actually. Demo can't see him at all right now. There
Yeah.
might be a sweet spot.
Well, I mean, the heavy in the middle can definitely see him, like
Yeah, that's what I'm
100%.
saying. There might be an area where he can just move forward, like I guess from the heavy's perspective to the right,
Yeah.
be behind that banner, but still be totally behind the banner that's in front of the demo.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
see
So you're saying
what
a
I'm looking at
position.
here.
Yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. If he moves him closer to the banner, closer, like right behind the banner or just off of it, he's obscured or not seen by the demo. And then, nah, I don't know. I mean, you're trying to get you're talking about like putting him right in the center of that X, I guess, right?
Essentially, yeah.
So that the banner from this angle covers him and the banner from this angle. But I just think the demo isn't far enough to the right. If the demo was more lined up with that X, then you'd have the potential there. But I don't think a sweet spot like that exists, considering the different angle that the demo and the heavy is at. And it
So it looks
looks,
like he's just going to put him on the objective.
yeah, which is where you would have started the Klaviex to begin with, right? He's had an
Yeah,
interesting road, right? He started right back here. He
he's
moved up a
taking the
little bit,
scenic.
and then he flipped over this container to just hang out on an
He's just
objective.
just sort of wandering around,
Yeah.
moseying around the battlefield, doing nothing in particular.
So the interesting thing here, though, is right is the heavy can still see that Klaviex, and the demo can see the Mandrake. So yeah, like I feel like I would have been better to put him to try to maybe maneuver him on the objective somewhere that the I don't know that he could have gotten it where the heavy couldn't see him actually now that I'm looking at it. because he wanted to give him, only one shot for each maybe, or no shot. Like they could only both shoot one model, but he's not going to have that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, we might see. There's a chance we could just see 8 shots into that Klaviex.
Yeah.
And
All
the
right.
leader is just going to move. Oh no, he was thinking about moving that leader onto the bottom left objective where the tar pit is.
Looks like he's still thinking about it. He's measuring now. I mean, I guess that further secures it for him, but I mean, it also puts him in view of some of these guns. But I mean, it is turn 3. These would be long range shots with the -1 as well from him, right? Like, what's more worth it to you? Do you think to take out? Do you try to take out that leader, or do you just slaughter this one flesh wound model here?
Um, I probably just go for the flesh wound model, to be honest. But
Secure the kill, yeah.
yeah, because that could be the difference between hold more for Ryan.
hmm Yeah, especially now that he's got that Klaviex over there. He's definitely in a position to hold one. I assume when Ryan shoots, he will drop down onto that objective. Obviously, that is partially contingent on, I think, killing that Mandrake, or could he could get it over here and not be
He
within one
could.
inch? Yeah, yeah.
He opens himself up to get slaughtered next round, but
Obviously, but at this
that's
point,
just
he's
the
got to,
life of
yeah,
Ryan.
he's got to score some points here, right? He's not going to be getting that domination. He's not going to be getting that engage on all fronts. Whether it's, yeah, I mean, he's got to take away the hold more, and then I guess, well, actually, yeah, he's got to take away the hold more, and then he's got to get himself the hold, the tie on the hold one, I guess there. Hmm.
There's move, move, move. I guess he's doing it under there. I mean,
Yeah, Tom actually said not entirely sure. Have to be able to shoot. It only says instead of shooting, but there's no explicit about eligibility. So kind of one of those wiggly rules that we have here in Kill Team where uh, maybe the idea is since you're doing it instead of shooting, they would have to be able to shoot. But I'm not entirely sure. I've never seen that ruled on before. But he
yeah,
is going to do the move, move, move. So he is going to secure himself domination and potentially secure himself
the middle
engage on
objective.
all fronts, the middle
Oh, that as
objective,
well. Yeah,
and domination here, because that is that fourth elusive quadrant. Mind you, oh, it doesn't look like the Nightfiend leader can see him. Maybe from the edge of his sickle. I'm not 100% sure.
I would say he can from the edge of
Yeah,
his sickle, but it's close.
yeah. And then, I mean, obviously this Mandrake up here that advanced can see him and shoot him. Klaviex doesn't have any guns. This other flesh-wounded Mandrake over here can see him and shoot him if he survives this readied shooting, which we do not envision him doing. But yeah, if that Guardsman Sergeant with his chainsword can survive, that's a lot of points, potential points there for Micro.
Yeah, I mean, really, I think this game is a lot of this is going to come down to how this shooting phase goes right now.
Yep, which we are getting our
Um,
first shots.
yeah, 4 shots into that flesh wound Mandrake, hitting on 4s, I believe.
Oh,
Oh, only 1
that's tough.
on 3s. He
Gets
does
the
get
wound.
that.
So 5 up save here. Does not
Doesn't
make
get
it.
it. No, does Ryan re-roll because he has 2 CP.
Not going to reroll. Looks like he's just going to go for the feel no pain, which he does
Does
not
not get
get
it.
out of action.
Only needs a 3 here. And he's got a re-roll. So that's a
He's got
dead
it.
Mandrake.
That's a dead Mandrake. All right. And that's, I mean, now you're talking about right now if Rein, not only if Rein shoots and then moves, he can move on to that bounty token, right?
Yeah.
So that would give him an objective, which would secure him hold more, no matter how the rest of this unfolds. Well, I guess no, it would depend on the chain sorted sergeant in the center, but could potentially give him hold more. He's already, again, this could actually be really, really big because he could score domination and the engage on all fronts with that sergeant. If he fire and fades, he could pick up a bounty and get on that objective. Uh, all right, here's the heavy shots into this Mandrake. I guess they're going to
Oh,
call
he
him
can see
obscured
him?
there. Yeah.
And Ryan could have prevented that. I mean, I guess he doesn't get a single hit.
He's going to
Um,
reroll. rerolling ones though. Oh no, that's the heavy, not the
No.
sniper. My bad. That's Rein is the sniper. Yeah. All right, no hits. So
I don't know why Ryan even allowed that model to get shots on him. He could have just slid him over.
yeah.
Well, okay. Anyway, on to non-readied models, which, well, no, Ryan still has to shoot. So,
He's got shots onto that leader. Um, he's got shots onto that
um,
Klaviex. He's got shots onto that. Looks like he could also see that same Mandrake there in the middle, on that
yeah,
same back leg. So
I think if Ryan was going to move that Klaviex like onto that objective, I don't know why he didn't just put him closer to the middle just so he
oh
could
wait,
do something next turn.
huh? Looks like they're doing this hotshot volley, but they haven't done Rein yet. I'm not sure if they forgot about Rein or
Yeah, I don't know.
they must have forgotten about Rein.
Hitting on fours, he gets, oh, I guess fives.
One wound.
1 wound. 5 up armor save. Doesn't get it.
4 doesn't get it. Gonna go for the feel no pain. No reroll, so feel no pain does not get that.
Not sure what Ryan is saving his CP for. I mean, I would at least Hail Mary on one of these
Oh, the
5 up
one on the out of
saves.
action. I think yeah. I think he's gonna reroll that. Yeah.
Yeah, he will.
And he
He
gets
gets it.
it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan is just being extremely careless with his mandrakes here. I'm not sure why. I don't know. I can't
Yeah,
say
why
I
not why
agree with.
not why not make the reroll there? Yeah, I mean, because considering he didn't use it on this one, right? He was pocketing it, but what is he pocketing it for,
I mean,
right?
you can't tell me that he's going to decisive strike on a Gotfret. I mean, you cannot tell me that that's his game plan.
He does have. Oh no, because he only has one model that charged there. I was gonna say they have that tactic where two models that charged can fight simultaneously or whatever it is, but that wouldn't help
He's
him
going to
here.
fight second anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm not sure. I'm I'm feeling some caveman's coming in this post game, depending on how this unfolds. Obviously, both of those Mandrakes getting taken out, a big swing, right? So now we've got potentially, like we discussed, the Rein fire and fade, pick up the bounty, scoring hold more, scoring because there's nothing else that can shoot. Unless they think that leader can see the guy in the center, there's nothing else that can shoot him. So he's secured domination, Micro has, and he's secured secured engage on all fronts, unless Gotfret falls, which he's got a lot of attacks coming into him, but that's a hefty task to take out that Gotfret.
No, I don't know why Ryan would not shoot the volley gun. I mean, it's yes, it's already shot, but this is one of those situations where this is going to be a problem the entire game if you don't deal with it at some point. And right now he's not made a single attempt all game to take care of these guys. And it
Yeah.
looks like he might be doing it now with the leader.
Yeah, well, he pumped 4 shots, 2 of his Mandrakes into Gotfret last turn.
Yeah, I mean it's a waste.
Yeah, so that could potentially come back to bite him. We'll see how this plays out. Right now, this is looking like a really, really solid turn 2 for Micro, just the way that this shooting has gone so far. Here's the 2 shots.
It's one of them. Wounding on a 3.
Oh, no
Does
wound
not
there.
get it. I mean, re-roll it.
Right, he's got it.
Why would
No.
you not re-roll? Oh my lord. Okay.
Do you think that
Yeah,
he's really saving it for this Acothyst?
that must be it. I mean, if so, that's a bad play.
Yeah, well, we'll see here. All right. Ryan still has not shot, which is interesting, um, considering he was readied, but I think you can delay readied models. I don't know why you'd want to in this instance, but
Yeah. Um, so Gotfret. So there's not going to be a break test here unless Gotfret, unless he gets another flesh wound or an out of action somewhere. Okay, so Ryan misses, and then he's going to move on to that, pick up that bounty. Yeah, this
there's
is.
the free fire and fade for a bounty and an objective. How nice for
Yep.
him.
Yep.
So now we were just talking, right? At the start of turn 2, we were discussing how is Micro going to do this, right? Engage on all fronts is difficult because he's got to get closer to these scary models. Domination is going to be difficult because he's got to get closer to these models and he's taking Gotfred away from the center. And now all of a sudden, I'm looking
Nope.
over at Ryan's
Decisive strike.
secondaries. Ooh, I'm looking over at Ryan's secondaries, and you look at Cut Apart and Bounty Hunter. Even if you are able to cut this guy apart and pick up a Bounty Hunter, that's only one model that you're working on. Okay, yeah, there you go. The Combat Acothyst, Decisive Strike, as you foresaw, is what we're looking at. But I'm looking at Ryan's now, and I'm going, how is he ever going to score Engage on all fronts? Because all these models are getting picked off. Like,
He's not.
yeah.
That's the answer. He's just not going to. So 3 hits. So he's looking at 3 wounds. But does he think that Gotfred's going to fail 3 ups? I mean, geez, that's not happening, right?
It's 3
He might
wounds,
take a
but
wound off.
yeah.
That's not worth 2 CP. Look at he
And
took 1 wound
yeah,
off.
he took 1 wound off, and also Micro would have had a reroll here, even if he had failed 3.
Yeah,
But
I mean, Jesus.
oh, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't feel worth it to me. We'll definitely have to ask Ryan about this one in the post game, no matter how this plays out. But yeah, I suppose had this guy survived, he might have been in that quadrant, and that guy survived, he would have maybe potentially had engaged there. But not using the reroll to save those guys' lives. Yeah. All
And
right.
measuring from the front of that leader's sword, he definitely has a shot on that sergeant that advanced in the middle. So he
Yeah.
could have taken those shots there.
Yeah.
So Gotfred gets 2 attacks onto that flesh wound of Mandrake, wounding on 3s. That's 1 wound.
Okay.
And Ryan doesn't have any armor saves that he can re-roll here, so he's just hoping that he scores on these 5s and 6s, which unlikely.
Oh, that looks like a 6 to me.
All right, there you go.
All right, now
So
the
now
other attacks. Oh, that
both
turns
hit.
into
Jesus.
an extra one too on that 6, those exploding 6s. So
Yeah. 3s. Only
okay,
1
only
again.
1 again. So this is savable. All right, looking for another 6.
Could it be? No.
Oh, no.
Injury roll. Looking for a 4. And this is actually the break test now,
And
regardless.
he has a reroll here, right? Because this is the combat phase. He uses the reroll in the shooting. So he does have a reroll here if he wants to do it. And yeah, you're right, because that is either way, taken out of combat or not, he's going to be at the break test.
Yeah. Unlikely that he's going to fail it just because of the Klaviex, but yeah. Forcing it turn 2 is big.
Yeah. Now, would you re-roll this with that 1 CP here?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, to me, this seems like a no-brainer. I don't know why Micro wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. A lot of discussion going on, waiting to see how this plays out. Okay, he's going towards that CP red player. He's moving his mouse around it.
This shouldn't be a hard choice. Apparently it is, though.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say I agree, right? But I can't remember the last time I was in a top 2 at a tournament. So Micro's been playing a lot more kill team lately than I have. Again, though, that's one of those situations we've discussed multiple times too, right? When you're sitting at a board in person at a tournament where you're timed, some of these decisions you make them, right? You're just like, okay, I'm gonna reroll it, I'm gonna do this. But when you're sitting in TTS and you have this more time to think about things, sometimes that seeps into the back of your head, and you're like, well, maybe I need to save it for this, or maybe I need to save it for that. Those situations where you look at Ryan not rerolling the saves, or in this case, although in that case he had a plan for that CP, Micro might be. All right, he decides to leave it. So these are the 3 attacks.
Whiffs on all 3 because of the flesh wound now.
Yeah.
Next guy hitting on 4s as well. 1 hit. So this is the last. Yeah, so he's not killing Gotfred.
Yeah, Gotfred's not dying. Unfortunately, no mortals on wounds of 6 in the melee, and there's that 6-up save. So yeah. All right. So we now do have that flesh wound, which will put him at a break test here for the Druhkari.
So now Ryan killed nothing that round, and Micro's going to get hold more and all of his secondaries.
Yep, he is. Like we talked about, he's going to get that domination. He's going to get that engage on all fronts. He picked up a bounty over here, and he's getting hold more, and he's getting the kill one. This turn 2, considering the state of the board at the end of turn 1, this unfolded a lot differently than I expected. Obviously, some really solid shooting, some unfortunate saves. Dice go one way, dice go the other. What are we looking at here? What are they
I mean,
pinging?
it's not even like he can realistically get cut apart because half of his team now
Yeah.
that's still alive is going to be not in combat next round or staying in combat with Gotfret. Both situations suck. He seems committed to keeping his Klaviex out of threat range for whatever reason. And his Mandrake or his Nightfiend, the other eligible model that could charge something, isn't really anywhere near anything.
Yeah. That poor Klaviex, man. Like I said, I think if that thing starts in the opposite position that turn one, I mean, mind you, maybe Micro doesn't move the flamer up that close, but that thing's just going straight into that flamer if it's me. But again,
Yeah, man. If this was professional sports, that Klaviex would be requesting a trade right now to go to another team.
yeah, little Le'Veon Bell action, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. So 9-4 after the second round. Rein scored 1 whole point that round. Yeah, disastrous. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know what he expected. He really, really weird moves from with the Mandrakes there.
interesting. Doesn't look like they did the break test. It looks like he did shaken tests for his flesh wounded models, but I don't think they. Yeah, he's got 3 out and he's got 2 flesh wounds. He should have definitely taken one, but
Yeah,
looks.
he should be taking a break test, but
Nope. Looks like they're moving on to turn 3. They tied there. There'll be 9 for Micro and an 8 over here. So Micro's gonna have turn 1. So he's definitely gonna want to keep this guy in combat, right? He's not gonna want to fall back Gotfret and free up those models to shoot. He's gonna want that to be the decision of Ryan, potentially make him spend that CP for that fallback and still be able to shoot. Keep that Acothyst tied in there. I mean, I guess if you're this Klaviex now, right, you're looking at the center of that board.
yeah, I mean, where else are you looking, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
everywhere
there's
else is
nothing
pretty
else
far
to do.
away. Yeah. All right. So you're a Druhkari player. What are
Oh God, you don't have to
what?
say it like that.
Well, I just mean, look at this. You're staring down a 9-4. That was a brutal turn 2. You still haven't scored any of your secondaries. It's feeling like engage on all fronts is going to be impossible this turn, and potentially impossible next turn, depending on how these models get out of this combat in the bottom of the board. Uh, you got to get into some combats with models you can kill, because Gotfret isn't it, right? So you need this cut apart. You need bounty. Um, Yeah, I don't know. This is a tough spot to get out of here for Ryan. You know, we were looking at it like he was in control of the board at the end of turn 1, and now things have completely flipped on him.
Yep. No, I mean it's a really rough spot here. This is he's not going first, so Micro can just move even further away from the threats than they already are.
Hmm.
Like, look, he's going to move this guy away from the Klaviex right now. Well, maybe not actually. He's got to keep him on that side of the board for engage. Although he could just be moving him.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't
potentially,
know.
potentially you pull him back and you move you advance that regular guardsman up. Um, Not sure.
Yeah, could be.
I mean, mind you, either one of them is going to get slaughtered, so you're not going to get the engage unless you've got 2 models that are far enough away from that Klaviex so he can't charge them both. Yeah, so it looks like he might move him closer to kind of be like, "Hey, come get me," and then move somebody else up into that quadrant for the score of engage and
Oh,
domination.
he put him up on the tower
Oh, okay. All right. Still
just
a
just to make that trade or that charge even harder.
Yeah, charge even harder. So we're looking
It's
at
like over a 12 9. Like there's no
yeah,
way.
it's 6.5 inches to that corner of the tower, and then it's 4.5 up, right? So you're looking at 11 inches just to get up there. Wow, is he really looking at just? Oh, okay, all right. So micro measuring that out, putting a guy just outside of charge range there. Little cheeky move, that guardsman looking at that Klaviex like, yeah, if I just take one step back, you can't reach me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. To be
And
fair,
then that Klaviex, if he doesn't get in combat this round, he's getting shot at by multiple volley guns, so
yeah.
he's probably dead.
And also, if he doesn't get into combat this round, Ryan could potentially not score cut apart at all this game.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan doesn't score a single secondary the rest of this game, if I'm being honest, the way that this board looks. I mean, he's not going to be able to pick up bounties unless he suicides for one right now. He's not going to get cut apart because the charges just aren't there. Micro can kite him the rest of the game. And he's not going to get engaged because he doesn't have the bodies for it. So his best bet is, I mean, I don't even know what his best bet is. It looks bleak right about now.
Yeah, tough going here. Again, that was a very difficult round 2 after what was a very difficult round 1 for Micro. Board state did not look in his favor. We talked about he needed that shooting to go down, and it went down, right? He got a lot of flesh wounds that turn 1, didn't get the out of actions that he was looking for, but it set him up for some, mind you, Ryan helped set him up for those kills on those mandrakes on both the center of the board and the objective over here. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure, right? Like Ryan moved that guy up in front of that hotshot volley gun, but what else do you do there? Because he's trying to get that bounty hunter, he's trying to score some of these secondaries. Yeah, I don't know. That was a tough one. 3 models in on Gotfret is not a place where I would want to be. Even if they are 3 scary models, the scariest models for the Druhkari are still going to have a hard time getting through that 3-up invuln and those 3 wounds.
Yeah, my concern after the first round, even though it did seem to go all right for Ryan, was he had used all of his scary melee models to screen out the potential Rouse deep strike, which meant that even though that first round was pretty good, his melee threats were so far away from where they needed to be on the board that it was going to be hard for that to actually like avalanche into an insurmountable lead like you want. And that ended with the Klaviex wandering off in a no man's land and the Acothyst charging Gotfret.
Yeah.
Not where you want either of those guys to be.
Yeah, it was a tough situation. It looked like it would have been pretty impossible for him to get out of that 24-inch range. That ended up killing that model up there on top. But not sure what else he could have done there. I guess if the Klaviex had been in that situation, he's still trying to make 5-ups. Mind you, he's got the 2 wounds, the 1 damage shooting, not as scary for him. So again, a lot of this board state comes down to that Klaviex and that veteran swapping positions potentially in the deployment, because that Klaviex is, considering where he started here in the deployment, he's only 4 or 5 inches from where he started, and it's round 3 now. So he moved up along the side of this and then hopped over this container and hasn't really done much. He's kind of twiddling his thumbs, whistling to himself back here. And then Gotfret's got all these other mandrakes and this Acothyst too, all caught up in combat. Not where they want to be.
Oh, we're gonna move that guy right back to
right back to the danger zone.
Yeah. We saw how that went last time.
And I assume, maybe I shouldn't, but do you think he uses the tactic here for him to be able to shoot?
I don't know. He might just be trying to go out of line of sight and maybe hope to God his turn 4 can be big. I mean, at this stage, the lead doesn't look good.
Yeah.
I mean, the point difference is huge.
Oh yeah. 9-4, and he's not in a position to score half of his secondaries, or all of his secondaries realistically, right? Because he'd have to get that fallback there. Then he'd potentially have to fall back with the Acothyst. I don't even know if the Acothyst could get into this bottom quadrant, and then he'd potentially have to advance this Klaviex up to get him into that other quadrant over here to get engage on all fronts. I mean, then you've got a bunch of models not in combat getting shot up by these hotshot volleys, so it's not your best case scenario. We're really looking at very difficult to come back in this position. Mind you, the dice go right. He makes some saves. Maybe turn 4 he gets some kills. You can. I know you can score bounty more than once per turn. Can you score cut apart? No. At the end of the fight phase, score 1 victory point. Okay, yeah, just once.
So he can't max that.
Yeah. So this disrupts domination, but for how long, right? When you're staring down Rein and you're staring down a heavy uh, hotshot volley gun.
I don't know what he's going for here.
Yeah. I mean, he's eliminating the Scion over here in this corner, but he's just basically lined up this heavy hotshot volley gun in the center, which this is another one of those scenarios where you discussed it earlier. Had he taken some of those shots, he had two models with two shots each to shoot in the first shooting phase, round one, and he decided to put those shots into Gotfret instead of potentially putting them into this hotshot volley gun in the center of the board. So now this hotshot volley gun has just had basically his choice of models to shoot at every single turn.
I mean, when you actually like think about it, this game, 14 shots / attacks have been put into Gotfret.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what the Gotfret player wants.
Oh, 100%. He's there to absorb it.
Yeah. And all that for one wound.
Yeah. When you put it like that, it sounds even worse than we already could see that it was. But yeah, but and it's not only the fact that you've only got him down to 2 wounds, but the potential damage that could have been put elsewhere. If this heavy gunner dies from any of those shots turn 1, then he's not shooting your guy off the board over here turn 2, right? If
or
you
at
don't
least at the very least a flesh wound.
Yeah,
right?
right.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. No, you're right. 100% right there. One of those things that, in the heat of the moment, sometimes it's difficult, but I mean, it's kind of like I've discussed this before and, had conversations about it with Crisis or with the stealth suits, which I do run because I don't run Crisis. But the stealth suits that I do run, a lot of times they absorb a lot of shots, right? And they're already a -1 to get hit themselves. They're a 2 wound. Right, they're 2 wounds. Yeah, the 2 wound model. They're -1 to hit. They can fly, so they can get out of combat. They can put off wounds onto a drone. But because they've got this, 4-shot gunner, they've got this big scary fusion, they absorb a lot of shots. People are like, oh, I got to take that out. And so you look at Gotfret, and he does a similar thing, where sometimes people look at him and they go, I got to get rid of this model, or he's going to rain terror on me. When in reality, if you ignore Gotfret, and you kite him and move around him and keep your models as far away from him as possible and just focus on taking out everything else, because Gotfret isn't throwing any grenades at you. Maybe he charges and he gets in on one of those mandrakes there, but by positioning all 3 of them there, he left himself open for potentially all 3 of them getting into combat. Thankfully, one of them was just slightly 0.1 inches away, but he tied up those guys and then he charged in the Acothyst, and now the Acothyst, after falling back from combat, turn 3 is in the exact same position that he could have been in last turn by just moving up the field, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, Gotfret has definitely made back his 20 points this game. His undercosted 20 points, he has made them back in what he's doing.
Yeah, he certainly has. So we haven't seen none of these fallbacks so far have been Cruel Deception.
Yeah, which means they're not shooting.
Yeah. So Ryan's finally going to just pick up that bounty.
Which he thought about. He thought about hard and long last turn. He thought about picking that up, and then he ended up moving it back and just leaving himself on that objective.
He should have just put it there, right? I mean, it didn't matter anyway.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, he didn't hide himself from any models that were shooting at him, yet he still decided to not get the bounty. I don't know what the trade-off there was, but might have just gotten mixed up in the heat of it all.
Oh wait, what is this?
Yeah, I think Ryan accidentally moved his model a bit before he started measuring. Oh. I think they're just running it back.
Or he's running it back and he's thinking about he didn't advance, right? So maybe he's thinking about a charge?
Yeah,
which at this point... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the advance could be a thing. They're putting the bounty back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like an 11-inch charge, like you said.
But you're re-rolling, and at this point, when you look at the state of the board, you look at the points, you kind of have to, right? You got to get in on something, and you got to cut it apart, or you're not scoring that, and you're already down 4.
Oh, looks like he's going to advance.
Okay. He
He
can
didn't even
re-roll
really
that,
need
right?
to advance. Yeah, he can reroll that for free. No
So
reason
I
not
think
to.
what he's trying to do is, but I mean, it's still not going to help him because I mean, even if he advances into this quadrant over here, he doesn't have anybody in that back quadrant anymore to score the engage on all fronts.
Yep. Yeah, he'll need
He'd have to
somebody. He'll need.
advance the leader. He'd have to. He could still advance the leader and charge him over here into this other objective. So he's advancing him up now, but he's if he wants to get into that quadrant, he's not going to be able to get onto that bounty hunter, correct? Okay, so now he's not even. All right. So now he is picking up the bounty, but he's just done it with an advance instead of a regular move.
Yeah, I
Right?
don't know. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe he was trying to get some obscurity that he couldn't get anyway. I mean, it's a melee model, so I guess the advance doesn't really matter
Yeah.
if you aren't going to be charging, I guess.
Which it looks like he can kind of hide from this demo. Maybe not on the back shoulder. I mean, he sees a sword there, not a body, so maybe he is hiding from him. And oh, he might be in that sweet spot that you talked about.
Oh,
Because
maybe.
I don't know that the heavy. Let's see, from the tip of the gun. I think he can see him. They might have discussed it though. He might be in a. I'm not sure. It's difficult, right, with the way these towers are. Sometimes if you just talk to your opponent, be like, there is a sweet spot there, but it's going to take some nudging and some moving that you can't really do. But again, he's not going to be getting the engage. I mean, potentially set up for a turn 4 charge onto this demo, right? But like you said, at that point, if Micro is far enough ahead, you just pull everything back and get him out of charge range, right?
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure.
So, let's see here. Trying to think of potential ways. Like I said, if he had moved that guy up, he could have potentially moved the leader over to try to get engaged. He decided to go for the bounty hunter and pick that up. Um, okay, he does go for the advance on the leader as well. Not sure where he's looking to position him. Maybe run him across to that other objective? Oh no, to the center of the board.
You might want to know if he can get to that quadrant over there.
Oh yeah, this side of it. Oh, the
Yeah,
far
which isn't.
quadrant, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't really need to advance. He could just move normally, then fire and fade in there, and then he's not taking a penalty. But
Is there some, it's a stretch at this point because even if he's able to score those, he's not going to score cut apart this turn because I very much doubt this one flesh wounded Mandrake is going to take out Gotfret. Um, so you're talking about 1 point if he gets the engage. He already picked up that second bounty. He doesn't have a third one on the board at the moment. Uh, I don't know. He takes away that domination. Um, he's not taking away that engage on all fronts from Micro. Oh, this is a tough one to come back from. Uh, what do you again like if you're the Druhkari player here, or if you're Micro, what are you thinking about the state of the board?
yeah, I mean, if I'm micro, I'm just playing keep away.
Okay.
I'm trying to avoid melee as much as possible. I mean, you can just sit back and your shooting should take you thrust of the way. If you're Ryan, at this point, you're literally hoping that you get lucky because there is no good situation for you to put yourself in anymore. You've kind of run out of that. So, I mean, you need to swing for the fences. You need to take the high risk plays.
Yeah. Which I kind of feel like he avoided the high risk plays here, right? Like I think the charge on the Klaviex is kind of something you got to do to try to get into combat with him. Um, now he's fallen back in all these situations and really just set himself up to get shot, right?
Yeah. So, Micro's doing move, move, move. I guess, yeah, trying to get hold more here and put himself in a safer spot.
And potentially set himself up to get that bounty token in turn 4.
Yeah. Now, if he had that Kroot tactic that lets you jump from building to building, he could jump onto that.
Doesn't that only give you like 4 inches instead of 3?
I actually measured it yesterday, and that tactic could work on this board.
Okay, so what you're
Jumping
telling me
from
is Druhkari are the scary sleeper for the Tau Fight Club? Sorry, not
Kroot, you
Druhkari,
mean? Yeah,
Kroot. Yeah, Kroot. My
yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Kroot are the scary boys. Maybe in Nova. I don't know. We'll have to see that Nova board. Maybe if there's any kind of measuring there. Could you imagine designing a team just so you could jump between terrain? Uh,
Yeah, it's like a Spider-Man build. I don't even know.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what Micro's plan is with this move order. I guess he has the movement for that.
I guess he's Spider-Man-ing it.
That's like 10 inches right there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Nah, he doesn't have that much to worry about. Ryan only has one model that can shoot because he decided not to use Cruel Deception. That was another thing I would have
Yeah,
probably done if I was in Ryan's position. I would have used Cruel Deception here to
especially
at
having
least
the
get shots off. Yeah.
especially having the 2 CP, right? Because there's no way you're gonna have to use a reroll in the combat phase. So still have a reroll in the shooting phase. I mean, I guess maybe he's gonna use the -1, or is that only when you're in cover?
No, that's any time.
Okay.
If you're in cover, you can pop 1 CP to give yourself +1 to your armor save, but
Mhm.
he's not in cover anywhere anyway, so.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe he uses the extra -1 on his leader here from these shots, or maybe he doesn't.
So hitting on 4s here. 1 hit.
Okay. One
He does
wound.
wounds.
Oh, no
Doesn't get
save.
it. I mean, I'd probably reroll that.
There
Yeah,
you go.
he's gonna. Gets it.
Gets it. There you go. The leader survives at least that first round of shooting because there's
Yeah.
still more to come.
Plenty left.
Yeah. So that's interesting, right? I would have expected him to shoot at the things in the center of the board because those are taking away domination.
Yeah.
But
So that's 2 hits. Wow, geez, 2 6s.
one
1
wound.
wound. Now 5 up and 6 up. He gets the 5 up
There you go. That leader's
with
not
a
going
6.
down. Yeah.
And now it's the next readied model. He's probably going to shoot into the middle now. Just
Yeah.
I didn't even put him outside of 12.
We'll have to keep
Jesus.
track of, Sometimes you lose out on a few things. All right, here go these 4 shots.
Well, he's running out of models to keep track of, so. Oh, only 1
Okay,
hit.
yeah, the shooting has fallen off here. This is what we talked about, right? There's still the wound, though. Got to make another 5 up here. Nope. Looking for the
Doesn't get
6
it.
up.
Yeah, there's no reroll left. Does
Oh,
not get it.
nope. We did that
So
5 before. So we're looking at a 3 here, right? Yep.
yeah, that's a dead
Yep.
Mandrake right
Dead
there.
Mandrake. All right.
Yeah, I mean that's probably game if this wasn't already over.
Yeah. I mean, he's still got this quadrant. I'm just trying to think of, ways that. But I mean, he's not going to get all 4 now, right? Because he doesn't have the fire and fade
Yeah.
potential there. Although I guess that guy fell back, so he wouldn't have had the fire and fade anyway. Um, Lots of potential there, though. Like you talked about with that tactic to fall back and still shoot and certain things like that that Ryan didn't fully take advantage of. But when you get into the throes of a match like this, I have been known to forget plenty of tactics and.
So Ryan shot at the last Mandrake and missed.
Okay.
And now Ryan's Mandrake gets to shoot. I guess he'll go for that Guardsman in the middle just to try and hold an objective. Yeah, Ryan is not going to be able to get onto that objective, I don't think.
Yeah, but he can get in there for domination. So.
Yeah. Even more reason to shoot the. I guess also
And
not
it
only for
also,
domination,
obscures the shots. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gosh. Not the way that you think of somebody using their sniper, right? But in this situation it works.
Yeah. See, even let me take a look here, see if he is obscured. Yeah, he'll definitely be obscuring that guardsman there.
Man, this has got to be tough, right? As a Druhkari player to watch, just because the whole you're looking to get into combat with these guys, and the only combat they've gotten to see, and especially against guard, those are like juicy targets, right? I can get in and I can kill these guys, and this is a situation where it feels like all they've gotten to do is hit a Gotfret and fail to really do any damage.
Yep.
Yeah. Micro moving this guy back.
Yeah, I guess he is going to put him right there.
Okay. I would have thought the better move would have been to the center to secure the domination again, but I guess, not sure.
Yeah. So that Mandrake will be hitting on 4s because he advanced if he shoots either of these models.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to hold 1, right? So I think you go for...
You shoot the middle because it's the 1 wound model, right?
Yeah. I think you go for the middle. You got to get kill 1. You got to get hold 1. Gets 1 hit. And it's wounding on 3s because of the toughness 3 versus strength 4.
Mm-hmm.
Still getting the mortals on a 6.
Oh,
Doesn't get it, and he's already re-rolled, so that's not...
re-rolled for the save, so it's tough there. Because now with just this one objective over here for Micro, he's gonna have hold 1, hold more.
So now there's not going to be kill. There's not going to be a kill. Ryan won't get a hold this round. So I think that's game. I don't think it's actually mathematically possible now for Ryan to come back in the 4th round with the points that he's getting here.
Shots into him with the las gun. I don't think he wounds though. He might re-roll it.
Yeah. So we're looking at
Attack reroll.
12.
Yeah. Nope.
It's going to be 14-5 next round.
Yeah, which is an insurmountable situation, which is kind of how we felt about this, right? The way that it was playing out.
Yeah.
Just because, like you said, a lot of these secondaries were going to be difficult for Ryan to achieve at this point in the game, just with the way the board unfolded.
For sure, yeah. Is he really saying there's a shot there?
I mean, I guess. Onto that back.
And this is why I was saying that Ryan should have taken that shot with the leader onto the guy that was over here earlier. Yeah. Because it's like, I think in the reverse situation, Micro's going to argue that he has that shot, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of player the Micro is. He's going to push it as far as he can.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't even think that they tried to look at that, right? Though Ryan just decided to shoot, I believe, at the hotshot volley gun. I don't think that he was thinking about the potential for that, but that would have been right. If you shoot at that guy, you take away domination, you take away engage on all fronts potentially, and an objective. So that would have been.
And that was a flush wound on the leader there. Actually, didn't get the out of action with the last gun.
And had already used his reroll for the wound before, yeah. So. All right.
Another thing that we didn't really talk about too is that this board heavily favored the Astra Militarum.
Oh, 100%. Like
it
you said,
wasn't even close.
Yeah, like you said at the very start, right? He had all 3 lanes covered by a hotshot volley gun, and then you have to move up the board against that in a very open situation, and you had the models to deny the deep strike. So it was definitely Ryan. I think was set back from go, but as you pointed out along the way, he made a few fumbles there. On where he could have gone with models or how he could have used his rerolls or his tactics, things like that. Obviously, a difficult place to be playing from, but still.
So we're going to see hold 1, hold more. We're going to see kill 1. We're going to see engage and domination. Well, actually, maybe not domination. No.
Was there a kill? I mean, there wasn't. Oh, yeah, there was at the center of the board. I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess it'll just be engage, kill 1, hold one, hold more.
Yeah, no domination this turn because he didn't move Rein over there. Though had he moved Rein over there, I guess he would have given up the hold one.
Ooh, and
Turn.
Ryan breaks.
That
I think
is
we're
tough.
probably going to see the concede here
Yeah,
if I had to guess.
not sure that he could have brought it back um, anyway, right? Like what we were discussing with what his secondaries were and the state of the board. Like I guess he would have gotten into some combats for the potentials for cut aparts turn 4, but I mean, one cut apart and one more bounty. That's 2 points. I guess he might have been able to get the engage there. That's 3. But the lead looked like it was a tough one to bring back.
Yeah, no, that was always going to be a tough spot to be in.
Well, hey, on the bright side, for everyone watching the tournament, we have ensured now that there will be one non-Druhkari in the top 4, right?
Yeah.
Because we're going to have Astra Militarum versus Thousand Suns. So one of
Oh
those two
yeah.
will make it to the top 4. Between this, the winner of this, which is looking like Micro right now, is going to be going up against Skinner in the next round. But all the other matchups include a Druhkari. So there's the potential for, like I said, if Ryan had won tonight, that there was the potential for top 4 all Druhkari. But now that has been eliminated. So I
It's
mean,
basically the worst end game possible, and I think that's a shaken. Yeah, it's a shaken Nightfiend
was
over
that the
there.
Nightfiend? Okay.
Yeah. So even if he did get a hold somewhere, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
That eliminates the
he's gonna
engage
re-roll it
on all fronts, right? That
and do another
another
6.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, this is it's inconsequential at this stage, but so that Night Fiend over there would need a 1 or 2 to pass, or that Mandrake, sorry. He gets the 2.
Oh,
Yeah, that's a lot of shaken models here. This is
well, the Klaviex didn't, right? The Klaviex passed, so he can get his charge in. But you now don't have enough models to score objectives or potentially get you engaged. You definitely don't have enough models to get engaged on all fronts with 2 broken. So, okay.
yeah, that's the concede. Um, I
Y-
guess we can hop into that voice chat for the post game.
Yeah, just really quickly before we jump in there with them, I guess what is your biggest takeaway here, looking at how this unfolded?
I mean, I would say the biggest takeaway was it was always going to be a little bit uphill. I think we underestimated that in the pregame
Hmm.
with the way how easy it. Not that it was easy for Micro, but it he could sit back very comfortably without having to make too many he wasn't put in that many difficult situations. I would say that game,
Yeah.
um, with the volume of shots that he had and his ability to with this how open this board is, he could just see everything right, just with a few gunners.
Hmm. No, definitely, and that would have been different, right? If the deployment is along the long edge of the board, maybe he doesn't have. It's not as easy uh, to zone out those mandrakes with the long edge of the board, or you don't have as many viable shooting lanes. You know, there's more places to hide, maybe, and a shorter board to get those models into combat. So in this scenario, he had the long board edge and he had those firing lanes that you discussed at the very start of the game.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, let's hop over there and see what they have to say.
Alrighty. I think we got Oodsicle in here right now, so we should be on stream.
You are now. Yeah. When I first jumped over to the channel, it didn't connect, but I exited out and connected up again. So we are on stream. What's up, guys?
Hey,
So
well, so that was a game.
yeah, that was quite the game. Oh wow, I got to turn you down a little, Micro. All right, there we go. I always have you turned up because you're usually so quiet, and then now you just shot out at us. All right, so I turned down your volume. Let's we'll get to you, Micro, in a moment, but let's talk to Ryan here first. Ryan, how are you feeling about that game? What were your thoughts going in? How did it play out? Is that the muster that you expected? Is this kind of how? Yeah.
Um, I didn't expect like a third hotshot volley gunner. That was basically like it. And then like just like the random guardsman and the that was basically it, I think. In terms of like his muster.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess just um, obviously, we had discussed it. Ryan, Shane brought it up during the stream. This was kind of an uphill battle for the Druhkari, I think, in this deployment and this scenario, just because it's a long board for you to travel across.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay. I guess some thoughts. Some difficult situation, right? You got zoned out with the deep strike initially. But
Hmm.
one of the first things I guess just ask you about, not trying to twist the knife or anything, but Ryan and I were just wondering about the deployment of the Klaviex, where you brought him in rather than maybe a little bit more forward, where he could have potentially gotten into combat sooner.
Yeah. I did that because I was concerned that he was going to wind up deep striking either the flamer gunner or like a hotshot volley gun or something back there. Like I deployed him. He was probably like one of the last models I deployed,
Hmm.
but I think he still had like the flamer gunner to go down.
Okay.
So that's why I put him back there. And it's like that model is really rough in this matchup, but it's like I didn't know like what else to bring in his stead. I guess maybe another Mandrake, but I don't even think I had like that many. I think I ran the max amount of Mandrakes.
Y-
Um,
Yeah, I think you had
yeah,
5 of them, including the Nightfiend, right?
yeah. So I think that's like that was all 6 of my Mandrakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's that model. He's tough to run, man. But it's like
Yeah,
the upside to him is great. Um,
it's a tricky spot because I had like Rouse in reserve, and like the
yeah.
Klaviex is the #1 target if he moves him too far forward and can't screen him out for my
That
outside.
was the other thing too, was because he put Rouse in reserve early on, and I was like, okay, well, if I was him, I want to put him somewhere in line of sight within 6 inches of the Klaviex, so I can just nuke him with that demo charge.
Hmm.
And so I mean, I guess I kept him alive, but it's like at what cost? At
Yeah.
what cost?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on this deployment, it was very, very rough to try to get him to do anything useful.
Okay. I've got one last question for Ryan here, and that was, I guess, some of the turn one shooting. You put two models where the two Mandrakes. You put 4 shots into Gotfret.
Yeah.
What was the thought there? Were you just hoping maybe for some of those mortal wounds, or?
Yeah, any of the other models that I think he had line of sight on, those models would have been hitting on 6s because I think they were both flesh wounded at that point. So I'm like, well, we'll just put him into Godfred, and then maybe we can nuke him with some mortal wounds.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Fair
That
enough.
was basically it. I just lack of other targets.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Shane so he can ask some questions to you and I guess to Micro as well if he'd like to.
Yeah. So first for Ryan, you and I talked a little bit about the possibility of you maybe running a grotesque. In hindsight, do you think that that might have helped you? Like, how do you feel about that consideration?
I don't think so. Honestly, like I think like not even talking about the grotesque, I think I should have gone with Flayed Skull in this matchup and
Just because of the
taken a
long
dark
deployment?
lance. Yeah, because you saw it, like I was more than half the game, I was just in a firefight basically. And then like it's like, yeah, that grotesque, he can go toe to toe with Godfrey and just like destroy everything else. But it's like with all the movement shenanigans I have to contend with, like Druhkari, they're already a highly mobile faction. But I mean, like with the freaking orders and the Rein and Raus being able to scamper everywhere or whatever, it's just like tough to keep up positionally.
Mhm.
So I think I took a middle of the road approach. But I think overall was better than taking the grotesque.
Okay.
Because I mean, like he was
Yeah.
just rolling so good against everything else. I feel like he probably would have died turn 2 or something.
So, Micro, I kind of want to ask you about your muster, but I think I almost verbatim called it in the pregame, so I personally I don't have that many questions.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you want to walk us through just for like the stream, just to talk about like why you went with what you went with?
Sure. So obviously the key was the big change on my roster from what I've been normally running was the triple hotshot volley gun. On this deployment, I just wanted him pushed back as far from me as I could. It was all about screening out that deep strike. And then the hotshot volley guns are just really solid against Druhkari. Like with 4 shots, if he's within 12 inches, I'll be hitting on 5s. And their range is like so long that they can really kind of like overlap their fields of fire. So it makes it really dangerous for him to come anywhere close to me. So yeah, that was the plan. Just like push him as far back, force the deep strike in his own zone. Um, I was guessing his other his secondaries were going to be engage on all fronts and cut apart. Did I call that Ryan?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to really focus on zoning him out of like board quarters and then just avoiding close combat at all costs.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the general game plan.
Okay.
I kind of wanted to keep the I was like prepared to sacrifice my own secondaries and stuff to deny him his. I just really wanted to stop like try and keep the game in a shooting fight, and if it meant like giving up domination or like my own engage on all fronts, I was like willing to do that just to deny him like his secondaries.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, no, it seemed like an uphill battle for the Druhkari from the start. Shane definitely, called what you were going to run on the Astra Militarum side, and he kind of, we both thought you were going to do what you did with Gotfret. Did you, when you looked at the board at the end of turn 1, obviously it felt like it was uh, potentially not super in your favor, right? Like it looked like it was going to be a difficult board state to control, but then Gotfret getting in on those Mandrakes kind of changed that all around, yeah?
Yeah, like yeah, I was really worried once Rouse went down.
Mm-hmm.
Um he like with him off the board, like Ryan's just so much more ineffective.
Yeah.
Um yeah, I was kind of expecting a better turn 1 and then Ryan to be kind of like clawing his way back into the game, and it was just going to be a battle of like keeping that back.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't quite how I expected. Um, yeah, I was pretty worried after turn 1, but it just kept going my way after that.
Yeah, for sure. We saw, right, Gotfret pulled out of the middle, so then we thought, okay, domination is going to be a little bit more difficult for you to get, which obviously you just said, you were willing to sacrifice your own secondaries to kind of deny his, especially
Right.
when, you could get the lead maybe on objective control and then maybe later in the board. And we just kept thinking like, okay, well, turn 2 now, and now he's re-rolling charges, right, and things like that. And if you wanted to get domination or if you wanted to get engage on all fronts, that you were going to have to push forward towards his models, which just wasn't, the thing to do. And then Gotfred ended up getting in on a few of those Mandrakes, and that kind of opened up that corner of the board for you. You were able to be there safely and kind of move up into that domination position, especially once the Acothyst was also in combat.
Right.
Yeah. Is there anything either of you I guess feel like maybe you could have done differently in this matchup? Obviously, Micro, you took the win, but I mean, is there anything you weren't expecting or, didn't play out kind of the way that you were hoping?
I made one mistake early on. I forgot to Scarper uh Rein turn 1 after I fired him.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Planning on sticking him and Rouse on that objective. So I was kind of kicking myself for that, just because like turn 1 went pretty rough for me,
Hmm.
and then on top of that, I didn't score on an objective I was supposed to take.
Okay.
Um, other than that, like I was really up in the air before the game started and what I was expecting out of him. Like I knew the Acothyst was a possibility. I knew the Blade Skull was a possibility, and I was ready for the Grotesque as well. So I was really kind of just waiting to see what he set down on the other side there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And Ryan, I mean, you already said, I guess, that you maybe would have gone for the Gunners in this scenario. So I guess you've already answered that question for yourself. I got nothing left. Anybody else have any, I guess, closing words on this match?
Yeah. The these hotshot volley guns on this board deployment are crazy when you think about it. Because I'm looking at the measurements just now, and like I told them while the game was going on, it felt like I was playing against like a tower. I was playing against tower defense,
Hmm.
and like if you look at the measurements right now, like 12 inches from where he set up his hotshot volley guns, they covered like the entirety of this sector here. So anything of mine that goes in here is going to be getting hit on 3 and 4s. So
Yeah.
it's those guns are crazy good on this deployment. And then because of that, it's like that just completely negated my ability to score engage on all fronts. Um and it's like I'm looking at the list of secondaries right now, and I'm like the only thing that I would have gone for instead would probably have been domination. But
Hmm.
then it's like, oh cool, I'm going to be getting into a fist fight with Gotfret in the middle of the board, and that's just not something that I wanted. So yeah, this was definitely an uphill battle for me, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, good game, Micro, man. Great game plan.
Yeah, so I mean, great match. It was definitely interesting to watch. After that turn one, like we were thinking, it was looking like it was going one way, and then turn two flipped it the other. So it was definitely an interesting one to watch. And then it just kind of avalanched at that point where it was becoming more and more difficult for the Druhkari to score their secondaries. But there's still, don't worry, your Druhkari brethren. There's still three of them left in the top eight. So. Uh, Yeah, Micro rescued us from an all Drukari, potentially an all Drukari top four. So thankful for that.
Yeah, anything I can do.
But yeah, will we be seeing you in the Fight Club? I didn't see if you were signed up for that one.
Oh no, I'm not
Okay.
signed up for
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
No.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, that's all I've got. If you guys would like to sign off, go ahead.
Yeah, hope everyone watching had a good game. Think Ryan, it's always fun to play you.
Yeah,
Hopefully we
man.
can catch another sometime.
Likewise, yeah, for sure.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks guys for playing.
All right. Good game and good night.